Sai Ram, dear sisters, brothers. I wish Brother Bhaskaran continued. It's nice when somebody praises you. You don't want them to stop. Thank you for all your kind words. As I said yesterday, it's always a pleasure and a privilege to address Sai devotees, to be in the midst of such beautiful, selfless devotion. And it's one of the greatest honors to be able to speak about this divine master who blessed the earth not very long ago, who's with us in spirit every moment of every day of our lives. And therefore, as we speak about him, as we sing his glory, as we nurture him in our thoughts and in our feelings and our emotions, we are in a way invoking him. And believe it or not, when we invoke him, he doesn't know to say no. He comes in spite of himself. So let us, in the next 3 to 4 hours that we have, invoke this divine presence and take that presence with us in our hearts, thus allowing us to enrich our lives. One would think, all right, this satsang would be nice. You're talking about his presence. I would take him home tonight. Tomorrow I might remember, but after that, maybe the day after, if I'm a really hardcore devotee. But after a week, it kind of seems to fizzle away. And then what happens a month later? Then I need somebody else to quote unquote charge my batteries. Why aren't we able to take this every day and keep it enriched and as powerful as we feel it at this very moment? Why isn't it as fresh as ever? There were many elderly devotees, but I had a chance to witness personal conversations between a few of them, and one such was Professor V.K. Narasimhan, who was the editor of The Hindu, which was and perhaps is the leading newspaper. Back in the days, we used to have newspaper before social media and phones, the ones we actually read. So there were many beautiful conversations between him and Swami. And so he posed this after one beautiful discourse of Swami. There seems to be a little... Should I take this down or? Okay. So after one discourse of Swami's at a Dasara, I think, he came to the room and he motioned Mr. V.K. Narasimhan to come with him. And so Swami sat on the chair and Swami said, "How was my talk?" And then Mr. V.K. Narasimhan, of course, said it was brilliant, it was beautiful, and so on. And then he said, "Swami, I have one prayer." Swami said, "What is it?" He said, "Such beautiful pearls of wisdom. Somehow I'm growing old, I'm not able to retain it. I don't even remember what you spoke last week. How do I bless me that I'll remember every word of yours as if I'd hear it at that moment, so it'll continue to nourish me?" And the answer Swami gave is so beautiful. He said, "Okay, I'll bless you. You tell me one thing. What was the first meal your wife cooked for you? Do you remember the first meal your wife cooked for you?" He said, "Swami, what? Are you making fun of me? It's been 40 years since I got married. I don't remember what was the first meal." "Okay, what about a year later? The first anniversary, what did she cook for you?" "Swami, I don't know." "What happened to the second and third?" And Swami said, "Okay, what did she cook last week? Do you remember?" He said, "Last Monday also, I don't remember." "What about yesterday?" "Yesterday, I think I can tell you, Swami, but beyond that, I can't." Swami said, "You cannot remember what she cooked her first meal for you. You cannot remember what she cooked 10 days before. You cannot remember what she cooked 3 days before. But at that moment, did not the food provide you nutrition? Did it not keep you alive? Did you not get the energy from that food at that moment?" So too with Swami. Listen at that moment, derive all the energy you want at that moment. What a beautiful, profound answer. Is at this moment, let us celebrate our being with Swami. And let us continue celebration that at every moment we are together, we think about him, we invoke him. Let us celebrate that moment. We don't have to remember something happened in the past, because this is right now providing us our spirit with nutrition that we need at this point in time. Every one of us will listen and be in a satsang. We'll each take home the message that appeals to us individually. And that's what we perhaps need at this moment today. And that's enough to sustain us. And so don't beat yourself, don't feel guilty that I'm not able to remember what Brother Sunder said, or I'm not able to keep up that inspiration. At this moment, let us enjoy and celebrate. And therefore we celebrate every day, every moment we talk about Swami. We celebrate his presence there. And slowly that becomes our second nature. We talked about being leaders yesterday. Swami said, I want you to be leaders among men to protect the world. Leaders are like lions, self-reliant, courageous, majestic, and just. And we wonder how we can be. When I first met Baba, as I very briefly mentioned yesterday, I wasn't raised in SSE, or I wasn't as lucky as little Sathya and so many other young kids who are raised in the SSE. I wasn't in the SSIO organization. I was raised in Bombay, in Villaparle. Just like any other kid, I went to a little bit of the spiritual schools. I did go to Bal Vihar by the Chinmaya mission, learned a little bit of Carnatic Saregama from my mother, the standard things. I did, was sent to yoga classes, which of course helped me later on. But Sai Baba was very, very a distant figure in our family. So how did I land up in college? It was simple. Free education. Free education. So my father got transferred to Haryana in the north. There was no colleges in Bombay, and people were wondering where I would study. And they heard Swami's college. There's it's free for everyone. You can stay there, you can study there. And therefore my father opened the door and said, okay, then you go in and check out who the Sai Baba is and stay there. Because they were told boys won't drink or smoke or they won't run away. So the family felt that it's safe to send them there. So otherwise we were raised in a very orthodox family where we had very strict ideas, very conditioned ideas of what God men should be, what a holy man should be, how they should look and how they should behave. And therefore, Sai Baba was nowhere in that definition, and therefore he didn't fit the bill, if you will. But free education was a door that opened for me. There were many steps even to get into his college. Slowly the heart began to open, because when I was for admission, when I went to Puttaparthi, there were no entrance exams. There was just you meet the principal, you tell him what you wanted, he will look at your grade card and he will say yes or no. It was as simple as that. So I learned to please him, you have to put vibhuti, so I had nice plastered vibhuti on my forehead and all of that. Unfortunately for me, the one thing I couldn't change was my grade card. My father had clearly indicated that I should join the commerce program. Like I said, in my generation, parents decided what I should and shouldn't do. The whole family knew I was weak in science, even though I thought I was good. But they decided science is not for you, you go for commerce. My father said, I'm an accountant, I'll retire, you take my job, so you go get your graduation, come back. I had to join commerce, which is called BCom, Bachelor's in Commerce. And so, when I went to Puttaparthi, my grade cards also came, and I saw that my grade cards were far below the required, because the principal said, I will give you commerce if your marks were above 60%. There was percentage then. Above 80% is of science, 60 to 80% you could choose commerce, and for some reason below 60% it was arts, history and arts. So that was the criteria. He said, Baba has given me this, and that's how it's been practiced here. So if you're anywhere between 60 and 80%, you can come and take commerce, because I had spoken to him earlier. I got my grade cards, I was well below 60. I'm too ashamed to tell you what it was. So let's keep that as a secret. Because I don't want little Sathya to say, Sundar uncle also got few less grades. So I tried my best to please him. Please, sir, I said, Sai Ram, I said, I tried my best to put my best behavior in front of him. 2 or 3 days I went in a row. Then he started avoiding me because he said, I can't get rid of this fellow. He said, you can take arts and join the college if you're so desperate to join Swami's college. I said, yes, sir, I want to join, but I want to get in commerce. The reason why I was desperate to join Swami's college, of course, was not because I was a devotee. Everything was new to me, but the place was a rustic village. Having been raised in Bombay, a village lifestyle seems enchanting, seemed very exotic, and far away from parents who were breathing down my neck to study. Avanapar, Evilapar, Avanmari, Evilmari, that kind of comparison went on and on. So I was like, I want to run away and be here. So all of that is what motivated me. Please get me into this college. I don't have to go back with a low grade to my family. Because when my father sent the grade papers to me, he had underlined in that letter itself, I told you to study hard, double underline. So I knew I don't want to go back and face my father. Somehow I had to get admission here. And so that's the reason why I was desperate. He said, I'm sorry, I cannot. In the 2 weeks that I had stayed there, two weeks or so that I stayed in Puttaparthi, I had heard stories about Baba. I mean, you go there and you meet devotees, they tell you stories that are so hard to believe, that are so much out of the ordinary, correct? And and I was thinking, even if a portion of this, even a 10% or 5% of this is really true, then my life would change. If this is the person I really want to explore. In those few weeks, I got to read about Swami, I got to understand his teachings, and his teachings are very simple. Service to man is service to God. I always liked that. It was simple, straightforward, down to earth. God is in every man. Love is God. God is love. All of that was so simple. It was not complicated pujas or rituals. There were no initiations. There were no fees charged. There was no board said, please pay a donation here for blessings. There were no, you pay more, you get more blessings, right? None of that was there. There were no hundis or money boxes. It was a very new atmosphere. So I was drawn to all of that. But then to enjoy that, to explore more about who Sai Baba is, I need to be there. And therefore, that interest to join was doubled. Swami taught me the first few lessons. In retrospect, I say Swami taught me. At that point, I didn't know. He taught me the lesson of how you yearn and the door opens. As it is said in the Bible, ask and you shall receive. Knock and the door shall be opened. And therefore, it was this moment where I was stuck with a grade card, which I was not proud of. I couldn't change that. And there seemed to be no way to get into Swami's college. So what did I do as a young teenager? I took out my paper, I took out my pen, and I wrote a very nasty letter to Swami. Somebody had to be blamed, right? So I wanted to blame him. Teenagers don't blame it themselves. They don't say, sorry, it's my fault. They say, your fault. It's your fault. So I wrote to Baba, and I wrote a letter. I distinctly remember the mood of that letter was pretty angry. And I remember a few phrases such as, people say you're God and you're capable of doing all these miracles, but it looks like in my case, there's no miracle possible. Because I didn't know how to pray to Swami, right? And therefore, I wrote a nasty letter. I said, you take this letter, I'm going to cut all my relation with God and you and everything. I'm going to go and join the Pune Institute of Film, which is what I wanted to do. As a child, I wanted to act. And later on, I want to tell you how Swami gave me so many chances to act and direct that I'm now fed up with that. But that's the beauty of it. He fulfills all your wishes, Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all of these shall be added unto you. Says in the Bible. It's simple as that. You get him, and all the least of your desires he will take care of. And somehow you will find fulfillment for all of them, even though they may or may not be directly connected to what you and I call spirituality. Every single of them, even without asking, in the slightest desire you had as your 5-year-old will get still fulfilled. You'll still get that Christmas gift that you always wanted. And so it was, but at that moment I didn't understand. I just wrote this letter to Swami. I had said, I'm not going to be scared and go home crying. I'll sit in front, give it to him in his hand, look into his eyes, and show my anger to him. I wanted to do something with my situation, correct? So those days you could sit right in the front at 2 o'clock. I went, and there was no chits those days. That came almost 10 years later. And so I went there and I sat right in the front where the men's section just begins. There was a big arch. On that side of the arch, the women sit, and there's an arch, and this side, the men sit. If you look at some of the old videos of Swami in the sands as you would walk, there will even be street dogs running around, and some of us will have to, hey, shoo, shoo, shoo. You know, it was such a very beautiful, simple, very organic growth of that ashram. Anyway, so I was sitting right in the front thinking I have to give this letter and go. I was so angry, so upset. Baba came out for darshan and he went to the ladies' side, and as he came here, I took my letter, kept it with the envelope sticking out. I kept the envelope in my hand and I was looking at him. All I was thinking is he's going to come, take the letter and go, and I have to go back home because my father had already sent the railway tickets as well with that underlined statement, come back, we will see what to do with you, all that, you know. And so I was just expecting that and nothing else. So I'm sitting there looking at Swami, and what I didn't expect happened. He came, he paused, and with 2 fingers like this, he leaned forward and he put his hand on the envelope like this. He put these 2 fingers because he could take it like that, right? If you have noticed, many times Swami does this. So he put his 2 fingers. Later I recollected, as I read the letter again, I had written that I'll cut all my relation with God and you and everything. So that's why he decided, should I cut this fellow or not? Let me see what he answers. So he bends down, he holds the letter as if to take, but he pauses there and he says, Kya hai? That was the first 2 words he spoke to me. Kya hai? What is it? I didn't expect him to speak to me. That was the last thing on my mind because I'm angry. I'm already at war with him. You know, it's like Saint, Saul, who was, before he became Saint Paul, Saul was against the Christ, right? He took crusades to deny Christ. I was like that, on that, this is ye Baba, kuch nahi chahiye, mere ko wapas jana hai. I'm going to run away from home, join Pula Institute. Just, I'm done with all this. That was my crusade with him. And he's, kya hai? What is it? You know? And the moment he asked, kya hai, suddenly the whole thing, I got up on my knees. I said, Baba, admission, Baba, admission. And internally my father's voice said, say BCom. I better said, because if Baba says yes, admission, join, again the principal is going to say the same thing. And so I said, Swami, admission, BCom. BCom is bachelor's in commerce. So in India we used to call it BCom. We still do, I guess. So BCom, Swami, BCom. As a young boy, perhaps I was a little loud. I don't know. Swami said, BCom? Be calm. Be calm. And just like you, everybody laughed around me. I'm very, very aware of that. I felt sheepish, I felt shy, I didn't know what to do. I mean, he's talking to me. I've actually told him, BCom is BCom. I'm just smiling. And then he very sweetly, he looked at the principal sitting across the sand on the other side. And he pointed, he did something like this. Something like, I don't know what he did, but he definitely did an indication. And that's it, he walked. And guess what? He didn't take that envelope. So the finger was like this, kya hai? And then he walked, as if he forgot. But thank God. For those of us who pray, he took the envelope. I'm grateful he didn't take that. And then of course, I met the principal immediately after the darshan. I told him, sir, you saw, Swami told me, Swami spoke to me, I said, BCom. He said, no, I know, I heard, I saw Swami talking to you, so you come tomorrow. I said, I want commerce. He said, yeah, whatever you want, you get. Now, don't worry. And just like that, I didn't know the magic of prayer then. I didn't know that there was something called, when you yearn, it happens. It doesn't have to manifest in forms of mantras. It doesn't have to be a bhajan. It doesn't have to be meditation, it's just yearning. The bhava, when a child cries, it's not because he's out to irritate you, because he might be hungry or he might be tired, that he's throwing a tantrum, right? The mother understands. And therefore, her response won't be again back at anger. Okay, anger with anger. Or you are angry with me, I'll show you who I am. It's never like that. No mother can do that. If we as parents, as mothers and uncles, if you will, can be nice to a child, then imagine at his consciousness, at that height, how does he look at us, right? How does he put up with our tantrums? We're constantly asking and bugging him with so many things. How does he put up? He just says, he understands there is something beyond all that. There is a deeper yearning. So all this maturity, of course, was not there. It took many, many years to happen. But the good news was I got into college. I didn't have to go back home. I wrote a long letter to my dad saying that Baba accepted me and all of that. They were not devotees at that time. It took a while for them to become devotees. But then, little did I know when I entered Swami's college that would truly, truly change my life. I had no clue. My job was to get a degree, have a good time in this village atmosphere and go back. But what happened was I ended up staying 15 years. I did my graduation, and then we were the first batch to get into post-graduation. From a batch of 40 boys, Swami picked up 14 of us for post-graduation. And from post-graduation, he picked 4 of us for PhD program. And it just happened, one thing led to the other. And people often ask me, so when was that moment you knew Baba was your God, your Guru? When was that moment? And my answer to them, as would be to you, even to this moment, is there wasn't a single day when I said, aha, I got it. I understood. It was gradual. It was very gradual. I was very curious about Swami, about his lifestyle, what he did. How is he able to do all of this? That curiosity led to admiration. Admiration led to love. Love led to devotion. And finally, if I dare say, an element of surrender. But that took almost a decade to happen. 10, 12 years of that happened. It took a long time. I was very curious, very, very curious of Swami's lifestyle. And today I want to present that in terms of a context of what you can take home, what I take home from all of these lessons. I want to see if I can bring it down into very simple 5 phrases that you can take home. I hope I can complete all the 5. If not, we'll continue tomorrow. The slogan that constantly goes in my head nowadays is, be like Baba. How can I be a leader? Be like Baba. How can I be self-reliant? Be like Baba. How can I be courageous? Be like Baba. How can I be majestic? Be like Baba. How can I be just? Be like Baba. And I say be like Baba, not out of audacity, and certainly not out of being egoistic or something. Who am I to say be like Baba? Who is he? Who am I? Not that kind of a way. But I truly believe in my heart, and I want to share with you that my understanding of an avatar, an incarnation, if you will, a master who walks the earth. And I say that to you because you all saw a different aspect of Swami, being so far away. And I saw another aspect of Swami, being so close to him. And that sharing of your story with me and my story with you is what truly brings a glorious darshan, if you will, that we have together, a darshan of Swami. It's a different, every time somebody shares a story with me, I feel Swami is giving me a different darshan of who he is. And that is the true Vishwarupa darshan. I always say we are all blessed to have a Vishwarupa darshan. The more we listen to stories with the open heart, the more we are able to see a whole different version of Swami, someone we never thought of. And therefore, I want to share with you the human part of Swami, how he was as a human being, how I saw him as a human being, and in watching him as a human being, understanding him as a human being, I saw divinity in action. In his humanness, I saw him being divine. I saw him do things as a human being it's impossible to do. And therefore, and yet he was so human, so humble, so sweet, and so approachable. I want to share that part with you. Because it is very easy for us to put Swami in a picture, hang that picture on a wall, and sing bhajans and wave arati, and make Swami the avatar, the 10th avatar, the Brahman, the Parabrahman. Look at my hand, going further and further away from my head. So we're experts in pushing God so far out. We'll say, "Ayyo, engiyo irukken, na engiyo irukken," right? But who made that distance? We, right? We love the drama of the distance. We love the drama of that pining, and that becomes a reality. And we are devotees for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. We attend retreats, we attend bhajans, we mingle with everybody. But after 40, 50 years, has that distance closed? Has the sarupya, the rupa of Swami, become samipya? Do we feel his presence with us every day, every moment? Are we living a life of content being in Swami's presence? Or are we still in the same boat, seeking and saying, so many people have so many stories. What is my story, Swami? You're so far away. And therefore, I want to close that bridge. I want to rather bridge that gap, if you will. So while it is easy to push him away as a God, he knows everything, he does everything. The Swami we saw was a Swami who worked hard in his mission, who worked day and night to make things happen. And for me, that was my source of inspiration. From curiosity, I said, it led to admiration. That admiration came because I saw a person so authentic, so integral. Integrity, if you will, he was an embodiment of integrity, because his thought, word, and deed absolutely reflected what he was speaking to us. His actions reflected that. His lifestyle reflected that. That is what I saw, and that is what I hope to share with you. Be like Baba. Be fearless. Be fearless like Baba. And to me, one of the greatest human values that Baba has given us, one of them being Sathya. His very name has that. Sathya, the truth. The Vedantic truth, the very essence of Upanishads and Vedas and everything that Sanatana Dharma and Rishis gave us is truth. The ultimate, everlasting truth that always exists, right? Perennial truth. The Shivam, if you will. And to me, one of the ways to access that is to be fearless. Fear is something very, very deeply hidden in our subconscious. Because survival was, as evolution, we had to survive. So to survive, we had to protect ourselves. So caution and running away from danger was normal for us. But in this, forget evolution, which happened millions of years, right? But now in this lifestyle, fear has become a kind of a habit. We are afraid of so many things. We are afraid of what others think of us also. There just seems to be no reason but to fear. And that kind of stops us from opening up to the divine. And what we learn from Swami's life is I saw him absolutely fearless. There was no such thing as fear in Swami's, the way we saw Swami. And of course, like you said, why would he? He was God, he was Avatar. But let's take a moment and think. Here is a young child at 13 deciding to do something. What if your 13-year-old or a 14-year-old comes to you and tells you, I want to change the world? It's very likely you might. I'm not a parent, so I can't tell you what you will. But it's very likely you might say, good for you, now go and study. Right? Oh, good, very good, okay. You're going to dismiss that off, right? But Swami just didn't say when he was 13 that I have a work, I have a mission I want to light the lamp of love in people's heart. I want to spread Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema. He just didn't say that. He dropped out of school, went home, threw his books and said, I am Satya. I'm no longer Satya, I am Sai. That awakening was witnessed. And guess what happened? Did people pat on his back? Did he get encouragement from his parents, family? Did the villagers say, we'll root for you, Satya? Yes, go for it. Did his parents say, we are so proud of you, you have taken such a brilliant vision for yourself? Everyone around him was terrified of what they heard. They thought he was possessed. Literally, they thought he was possessed, so they took him to an exorcist And even when I witnessed Swami, he couldn't listen through one ear because one of the devotees explained to me how the exorcist had damaged his skull to such an extent that it had damaged his hearing on one side. So there was physical abuse he had to put up because he decided to find who he was, to express who he was or what he wanted to do. Why does an avatar show us that? Because he shows us how to live. If Swami was a Harvard University graduate, I know for you all Singapore University is the best in the world, which should be. So let's say he's a Singapore University graduate and he goes home and he's the son of a multi-millionaire, he decides to change the world. What would you and I say? Oh yeah, he had the money, he had good education, so obviously he had a good start. What am I without education? I can't do what he did, right? What if he was a son of a very famous man, very popular man, a son of a big film star who decided to change the world? We'll say, oh yeah, everybody knew his father, so naturally he had inroads to everything, he succeeded. But then a great teacher, a master, comes and he says, all right, let me begin with nothing. And that was a secret when Swami told us in the veranda many, many times, I have nothing. Then he'll lean and say, but in that nothing is everything. It took me a while to understand that. I have nothing, but in that nothing is everything. Give me nothing and I'll build everything from that. Where did creation originate? From what? From nothing, right? And look at this creation as we understand it at multi-dimensional levels. Such a fantastic complication, such a fantastic orchestration, such unique, and I'm not talking just a physical matter, I'm talking of so many other elements and space and time and so on, all of these as elements of creation. How beautiful is that orchestration? Where does it come from? We're still trying to figure it out. Whether you call it science or the spirit, we're still figuring it out because that source is so mysteriously hidden. And that's why I said that source is God. God exists even beyond our imagination. As I said yesterday, God is more truly imagined than expressed. But he exists far more truly than is imagined. That source is far beyond our imagination. So Swami starts with nothing. When I was in school in Villapalli in Bombay, I attended the Christian school, so I heard the beautiful life and the story of Jesus time and again. And I was told he's a son of a carpenter, he had nothing, and they had not even recorded his birth, and they hid him. And then suddenly I hear he's the son of man, and there's a billion people following him. I'm like, give me a break. This can't be true. This has to be some false story. I come home, and then you hear of stories of Krishna being born in a prison, and his uncle was throwing his cousins, his cousins or his brothers and sisters against the wall. Evil man, this, that, born in a prison, taken away from his parents, raised as a coward in a village so that nobody will know he exists, and he turned out to be the emperor of Mathura. Again, too hard to believe. How can somebody like that, be raised a cowherd, suddenly become emperor? These are nice stories to hear. Because in our mind, to be successful, we have a list of what should fall in place, correct? Oh, we need a good education, we need this, we need that, and all of that. Today we have a laundry list of items that we can come up with in order to be successful or in order to be happy, in order to do all of that. The reason why today I believe those are true is because I saw the very same thing, as we all know it, the very same thing that Sai Baba demonstrated in his life. And so has many leaders. Sai Baba was not the only one, but to me, he's the one I can verify. I know it's absolutely 100% true. It happened in our generation, in our times. What was that? Nothing. Where was Sai Baba born? In a village that was not even on the map of India. I pause because I want that to sink in. Today it is. But there was a time it wasn't. In a village but just barely on the map, in a famine-stricken land, literally, drought-prone land, famine-stricken land, a young boy decides to change the world. What do you expect the villagers to do? They would obviously think, a young boy drops out of school and he says, I want to change the world. The beauty of Swami, as I learned from that story, and I saw him as I stayed with him, was he celebrated who he was. He celebrated his uniqueness. And I tell this always to, whether it is SSC 3 or 4 children, the teenagers, or I talk to young adults, or all of us, as I talk to myself, I tell them that when was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, wow, there is no one like that in this whole world. In this whole universe, there is no one like this. When was the last time? But yet that's true, right? There is truly, scientifically speaking, your DNA doesn't have another. You don't have somebody looking exactly like you, think like you, feel like you, have your own unique talents. You don't have. And yet what we do is we wish we were like somebody else. Or we wish we were as rich as somebody else, as tall as somebody else, as good looking as somebody else, as thin as somebody else, or whatever it is. At some level, it may not be conscious thinking, but we are taught to be like somebody else. We are taught that. And we absorb it, and we live on a borrowed idea of what we should be, never giving ourselves a chance of who I really am. And here is Baba, therefore, teaching us, celebrate your uniqueness. He didn't have education, he celebrated that. He was only 5'2". With the hair, we can add a couple of more inches. He celebrated that. He knew his mother tongue was Telugu, he celebrated that. Why can't we celebrate who we are? Because we are afraid. We are afraid to express ourselves truly. Whatever that is, we are afraid to allow our real self, whatever it is, to find expression. Be fearless. Swami took us once to Chennai, 4 of us, because he was told that, Swami, these 4 boys are doing banking and finance, they have to go to banks. They can't be sitting in the ashram and doing PhD. Tomorrow there'll be a good professor coming from Delhi School of Economics or whoever, and they'll have to answer questions. So these are days before the internet. Back in days, books, we had things called books. So in libraries and staircases we had to climb. So we were studying books and magazines and collecting data, but data was also available not in, like I said, there was no soft copies of data. We had to go literally to profit and loss statements, which are in the Reserve Bank of India in Chennai and elsewhere. So they told Swami, and Swami's reaction was, these boys have been growing here, they don't even know how to cross the road. What are you sending them to Chennai? And no, I don't want them to go. No need of research. So they prayed to Swami. See, there's one part of Swami that was extremely attached to us, and the other part that was extremely wanting us to grow. There's a beautiful apparent dichotomy, but this is the beauty of Swami. So he got very upset that he had to send us to Chennai. So his solution was, okay, I will take them to Chennai. And for us, that was the best solution because it was 4 of us. And a new car was given to Swami at that time. Standard 2000 was like the first model of that was given to Swami. And therefore Swami said, they can come in that car, I'll go in my car. And we were following Swami. And there were so many lessons in that, many humorous lessons, but we'll see if the context prevails, I'll come to that. But I want to share in this context one important story in that trip of mine with Swami. So in that trip in Chennai, Swami decided to take us to an old devotee's house who has been praying to Swami to come and eat in their house. They have known Swami since he was very young, since he was in his 20s, when he would first when he would drive a car and go to Chennai to quote unquote spread his mission, he would stay in their house. So she said, Swami, please come and have lunch, bring the boys. And Swami said, come, I'll take you, Papa, old devotee, come, let's go. So we are just happy to be with Swami wherever. This happened many years after I joined his college anyway, mid or late 80s. The lesson here in the context of what I'm saying was this. Swami had his lunch and then he told her, tell these fellows who are just eating and sleeping all the time, loading, unloading, not eating and sleeping, loading, unloading. Eppudu chuste loading, unloading. Idi pillalku em theriyadu. Kon cheppandi, tell your stories. In Tamil when he speaks, kon sollungo, that sollu. இவாளுக்கு ஒன்றும் தெரியாது, சாப்பிடணும் தூங்கணும் வேறு ஒன்றும் கிடையாது, something like that he was talking to them very sweetly. And the lady started sharing so many stories about Swami, and Swami is watching and listening, almost as he is listening somebody else's story, very excited. And I'll share many such instances. It's like when he listens about himself, he becomes a 5-year-old. That's so beautiful to see Swami in that. It's an enigma, really. Don't ask me to explain why or how. I have no idea. You just enjoy it at that moment. Brother Jagdishan from Malaysia, right? He wrote this, Oh God, part 1 and part 2. Or My God, I think it was. Oh God or My God, I think. Part 1 and part 2. So the first part 1, when it had come in the early 80s, I was in Swami's room. Swami had opened that book and he was looking at it. We were sitting and pressing Swami's feet. So here Swami is sitting on the chair and he's opening and looking. Then there were some pictures of Vibhuti appearing. He started staring. He's like, oh, chudande, Vibhuti ostundi, chudu. There in Malaysia, Singapore, Vibhuti is coming. Then one place, there was this Chinese figurines were all covered with kumkumam and all. Yo, kumkumam kuda ostundi, chudande. And he's showing, Kutumbrao Garu, they're all standing, Swami, avunu Swami. Everybody's serious. I'm like, are you kidding? This is... Shouldn't you be telling us, see what I do? No, it was like he is watching his own leelas and he's enjoying it. It was not a, I didn't think it was putting up a show for us, if you're thinking. It was a genuine, that's how Swami was. He becomes like a 5-year-old and he's watching his own leelas, And then he was so praising, oh my God, what all happens there? And he was showing us like that. So he becomes like a 5-year-old. So he was listening to him like this. And so she was telling beautiful stories as to how Swami would come to her house and spend late nights in Satsangs and bhajans, and she has to tell Swami, Swami, thunga ponga Swami, engalukku naaliki vela irukku, we have to go to office, please go to sleep, don't keep us awake. But so Baba will say, no, get some more coffee, we have to do some more satsang. Because Swami was in his early 20s, right? By 14 he had declared who he was, so now he had no time to waste. So this is the beautiful thing. He forged his mission forward. He didn't wait and wave his hand and do it. Because avatars and gods and masters don't come to make mockery of us. If they come wave and say, see what I can do, it's like you and I go to a handicapped school and tell them, hey, see what I'm doing. It's so unfair, right? So he's not here to make mockery of us. He's in fact to show us, look what you can do. I am like you, but look, I'm doing it, you can also do. That's the beauty of it. So the beauty of him taking a car, hitchhiking a ride to, somebody comes and sees him on his way, say, can you drop me back in Bangalore? Can you drop me back in Chennai as you go? And so he forged his event to people, met devotees' house and told them about his mission, wanted to do bhajans, meet people, go to Raja's home, palaces, play table tennis with them and engage them. So this was a young avatar out to spread, so excited, so not compromising on any hard work because he had a vision. That vision was there. So one beautiful thing about Swami, and I know I go into these side tracks, but I promise I'll come back to the story. What I learned from Swami is there are no goals in life. He doesn't set goals. He has visions to fulfill. The vision is presented and he just sees the vision as the end. He sees the end already. And all he does is carve his way to the end. Like the river already knows it's the ocean. It's just, all it does is to flow towards the ocean. It's not trying to set goals. Tomorrow I should be here. Next day I should become there. And it's just following its nature. So Swami had this vision to spread goodness and love to humanity. And that vision was manifesting. Every step he took, that vision was manifesting. Whether it was 5 devotees, he was manifesting that vision. Whether it was 10 devotees, he was manifesting. So back to the story here in this afternoon, he's sitting, this lady's telling these wonderful stories. And then she said something as part of that, but that stayed with me. And what did she say? She said, how many times we told Swami, that young Swami, that why are you building an ashram in Puttaparthi? Who will come to see you there? Even we cannot come. We have to take leave from the government jobs. Then we'll have to find there is no proper roads there. We have to cross a river. God forbid if there's a flood, we cannot go. We have to come back. Who will come searching for you there? What are you talking about this world, changing the world and establishing world order and all of that? Who will come there? You tell us, we will talk to the government, we'll get you land here. You build in Chennai. If you and I were the avatar, what we would have said? Blessings to you, Ma. Please go ahead, right? Why wouldn't we? Logically, it makes sense. You want to start a good mission, somebody is giving you a great land. Wouldn't you, if somebody tomorrow comes and says, here is a center for the land, build it, you'll say, wow, land, we are desperately looking, we'll grab it. But there's a greater wisdom that guides, which apparently doesn't look successful, which apparently looks wrong. And I'm sharing this because what is God's perception in things? How do we look at lives, and how are we quick to judge and make judgments versus how God looks at things, and how eventually His success is far, far, far greater than all our successes and achievements put together. And yet at every stage it looked like He was taking a step backwards. There is something a lot to learn from that perception. But the fearlessness is what we are looking at. And this fearless Swami tells her, no, it has to be there. He tells her it will happen there. It will be there. And today, a village that didn't have a road has all the national highways pointing to the village. It has a railway station. It has an international airport. Every possible means of communication, like all roads lead to Rome, all roads lead to Parthi, drawing people from not just Chennai and Bangalore, but millions of people from all over the world. And it will continue to grow, and it will continue to be what it is. But that's a lesson for us to learn, that if you have a vision, and that vision is pure and clean, hold on to that vision. Don't compromise on that because you're afraid what others might say. What if it doesn't succeed? What will I do? And that doubt is itself a failure right there. But when we hold on to that vision with faith and confidence, knowing that this is clean, this is pure, this is right, this is what my heart tells me, and therefore it is already finding roots and already finding success. And with every step you take in that direction of that manifestation, believe me, it is manifesting because it has to happen. That's universal law. Many years later, Swami said, if you believe in something and do it selflessly, know that all the grahas, he used a Telugu phrase, I'm not able to recollect and bring that. He said, all the grahas will come, all the navagrahas will come as anugraha and serve your purpose. You have nothing to be afraid of. Be fearless. Be fearless. In all the steps that we take in the spiritual path, I think the easiest lessons we learn is through devotion. We devote ourselves to God. We learn these lessons and say, God, allow me to inculcate this trait in me. Let me bring that trait into me. How can I be fearless? We don't have to be proud. We don't have to be arrogant. Being fearless is not being arrogant. Being fearless is not throwing caution to the winds. Being fearless is simply being fearless. You're not taking a job because you're afraid what will happen if I don't have a job. Is that what making you get up every day in the morning? Or are you going to a job because you love what you do? You have to ask yourself, am I afraid of Swami, and I'm afraid of doing something in this organization? I'm afraid to do that. If you're afraid, then you're not in the right place. You're not at the right time. That moment of being with God is a moment of being completely, there's freedom from fear. Swami would say, Daiva Priti Papa Bhiti. It's not Daiva Bhiti. Never be afraid of God. There cannot be fear and God put together. If you're afraid of, and part of something that because you're afraid if I leave what others will say, therefore I have to be afraid. And if fear is what is driving you to stay somewhere, that's fear comes, then that's why conformity comes, right? Conformity is everybody is doing, so I have to do it. I was standing in the airport and going through security lines. I saw the line was really long. I noticed there was another security line further away, and that was empty. I asked this guy, why is that empty in this line? He says, I don't know. Can I go there? Of course you can go. Then as I went there, of course I breezed past it. And I was thinking, isn't that what we do in life too? We are just blindly, oh, everybody is going there, they must be right, so let me also go. I'm afraid to be singled out. I'm afraid to be part of a small group because fear is what drives me. What if, no, I'd rather go. And that conformity, that fear, while it makes sense at that moment, actually limits you from being who you are. And life goes on you're always then guided by fear rather than love and fearlessness. Swami never allowed that in his life. Even many years later, imagine Swami, 8th grade pass, he is sitting there, he's stepping out of his door, and there's a prime minister sitting on a chair in front of him. And there's a president of the country sitting on the chair outside his door, waiting for him. And here is the eighth grade dropout, opening the door and say, hello, where are you? Where are you? Come, 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 come. What confidence, what fearlessness to meet the leaders of nations, right? When the college was open and it was becoming a university, Swami said, let all the vice chancellors come and see me. He wanted to know, Swami, within 2 years of the college opening, he wanted to know how can this be made into a university. So the elders, the educated elders who are helping us, they cleared their throat. Swami. Oh, so I've sought, Swami seeking my advice. So Swami, and all the wise, they changed the tone, Swami, to make a university. I was sitting and suppressing Swami's feet, so I'm part of this. So he said, Swami, so in order to make university, the labs should have electron microscopes. Oh no, what is that? Swami is very advanced microscopes, and that means that line of education has to be introduced. Okay, then Swami, we need more buildings, more schools, more colleges to start. And so on. They made a list of things, 4 or 5 items, really big items, big agenda items, put it out there. Swami said, okay, so assuming that we have all of this, what next? Then he said, Swami, once we have all of this, we invite the Vice Chancellor's Commission, the University Grants Commission. What is that? That is a group of Vice Chancellors from all the leading universities across the nation, the most educated people. They will come, they will visit your facilities. And they will then decide whether this is worthy of being granted a university status. Again, put yourself in that shoes. And it's okay to be in Swami's shoes. Or to imagine, what would I do at that point? You'll say, okay, that makes sense. Then how can we get the electron microscope? How can we get these buildings? Let's make plans to do that. Wouldn't you and I do that? Sounds perfectly normal. We would tell our children, very good, that's the way to go. But this child was not ordinary, because he's making us step out of our confinements, if you will. He says, oh no, all this, okay. Then he thought like this. Okay, then call them. Call whom, Swami? Call the Vice Chancellor. The college building in Puttaparthi is not complete. We are having classes in the Ishwaramba High School. So I was pressing Swami feet. I can speak for myself, not the others in the room. But I thought Swami didn't understand a word of what these people are talking. I thought, oh, Swami didn't understand that. Because Swami said, "Aithe pilchandi, andarni pilchu. Call the Vice Chancellors." Where is the logic here again? Call the Vice Chancellors. Again, this person cleared his throat once more time. Swami, atla kaadu Swami. I got all that. I understood everything. It'll come, but you call them. And much to their consternation, I think they called. The group of chancellors came, vice chancellors came. The college building was not done. The hostel was being built. All of this is going on. And we were there taking the group everywhere to show them what was the facilities. So we thought, my God, how is this even going to work? Some of us were thinking. And you know how they are, they don't show, like the military people don't clap when the politicians speak. You know, that's like a rule. So it's the same thing. Here, there's no smile on their face. Okay. Yes, it was going on like that. And when they were 2 days before they came, there were 27 vice chancellors, or 26 or 27, and Swami picked 27 of us, handpicked us, and said, "You each one vice chancellor." He told us, "Don't say Sai Ram, and all to them. Be well behaved. Baga behave cheyandi. Good morning cheppandi. Thank you cheppandi. Good night cheppandi." You know, it trained us how to look after them, take care of them. They should see you all and understand what I'm trying to do. So this was like the human side preparing us. Come on, they are coming. Let's make a good impression. And so they are sitting, all of them, in the veranda. And here Swami opens the door. That afternoon, I can never forget. He invites all of them inside, in his interview room. 27 vice chancellors crammed in his room. All of them sitting down on the floor. Eighth grade dropout sitting on the chair. So the learned men on the floor, and the young Sathya. It's Adi Shankara in Dakshinamurti Sloka, he explains this. How the greatest of rishis sit at the feet of this young master who's eternally smiling. So one would think, how is that possible? And here it was actually possible. So education is good, knowledge is good, but when it comes to wisdom, none of that really matters. They sat, what happened, we don't know. A day before that, Swami asked us, who wants admission in Sathya University? So all of us raised hands, of course. Choose Tamu, we'll see. Because we were told that the university may take 2 or 3 years. So you guys, when you graduate, the first batch, when you graduate, you will graduate under the, at that point, the colleges were associated with the Venkateshwara University. So you will get degrees from Venkateshwara University. And we are like, oh gosh, if the Sai University is coming, we might as well wait. But we don't have a choice to wait, right? So Swami was pulling our leg. He said, who wants Sathya Sai University? All of us raised a hand. Choose them. Let's see if it happens or not. And after that interview, Swami comes straight into the bhajan hall. Sathya Sai University. Ostundi, it is coming, he said. And it is unheard of in the history of universities that within 2 or 3 years of 3 colleges and 10 years after Anantapur, 20 years after Anantapur, 10 years after Brindavan College, and then 2 years after the Puttaparthi College, a university status is being granted. It is unheard of. No unnecessary strings were pulled. The puppeteer was called. We didn't have to pull strings because we had the puppeteer, I guess. We didn't have to pull any strings. Nobody was bribed. And here was just Swami who walked and said, let's do it. And it was done. We need to think of this and learn these when we come face to face with situations where fear seems to be the best outlet, and we disguise that fear in terms of practical thinking. Let's think practically. But what is driving it is internally we are afraid of making a fool of ourselves. We are afraid of failure. And here was Swami showing us, bring them. Let us see what is going to happen. Let them come. That was a very powerful lesson. Many years later, we did a drama called Bhaja Govindam. And we had, for some reason, though I loved acting, in most of these dramas, many of these dramas, I was either a teacher or a pandit and all villains. So I wanted to be a comedian, but Swami gave me villain roles. But villains who became good, so that's a good story. It had a happy ending. So I was a proud pandit in Bhaja Govindam. In Cheppinatlu Chestara, the one Swami wrote drama, and brother Srikant Vaidyanathan, who's now in Boston. He's a national devotional coordinator of SSIO, and he was a little boy there. He was a little Sathya who sang the new bhajan singer in the block, if you will. Swami was all about him. So Swami gave him the role to play that. So I was the teacher who got stuck in the chair in that. And so I had all these pundits, and so there was so much of beautiful learning in that drama as we wrote and as we did that drama. One of the most beautiful things that I learned that, and I want to share with you, is Swami said, at any point of time when you are confused, invoke God. Invoke Him not to solve your problem, simply invoke Him. His presence will take care of everything. I always say this, don't tell God what to do, just call out to Him. That's all it is. Don't tell Him what to do, just call out to Him. And His presence will take care of everything. If the sun rises, you don't have to say, please give me light, please give me light. All you have to do is open the window. The light will come because the nature of the sun is to give light. The nature of the Kalpa Vriksha is to fulfill your desires. Swami would say, don't come to a Kalpa Vriksha and say, please give me coffee powder, give me coffee powder. And the Kalpa Vriksha will say, okay, have your coffee powder. But what if that wish fulfilling tree wanted to give you something much, much more than your early morning coffee? I don't have to worry because Sagar and Vaishnavi gave me very good coffee in the morning. So my Kalpa Vrikshas are here. But the point is here that God is a wish fulfilling tree. All we need is to invoke His presence. And therefore let us invoke Him with this beautiful stanza from the Bhaja Govindam as we go into this satsang. Every single stanza of this was sung and practiced in front of Swami. Swami picked up out of the 32 odd verses of the Bhaja Govindam. He handpicked a few and trained one of my brothers, Hiro, who was my PhD colleague, who acted as Adi Shankara. he trained him to sing. It was a very beautiful experience. So one of the beautiful stanzas as it goes, as you all already know it, is Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mooda Mate. Adi Shankara says, "Oh foolish one." Mooda Mate sounds nice in Sanskrit, but translated to English, it's pretty disparaging. It is, "Oh foolish one, what are you wasting your time? Just chant Govinda." Because when you invoke the highest principle, everything else is automatically taken care of. And therefore, let us invoke them at this moment. And when we invoke him, let fearlessness become our second nature from this moment on. Let us stop being afraid. Let us know that God is with me, and therefore, what is it that I need to be afraid of? Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrin Karane, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrin Karane, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate, Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam, Dustara Bhava Sagara Taranam, Manasa Bhajare Dustara Bhava Sagara Taranam, Guru Maharaj, Guru Jai Jai, 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 Sainath Sadguru Jai Jai. Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namo, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namo. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Aruna Shivo. Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Om Namo Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Om Namo Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Omkaram Bhava, Om Namo Bhava. Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam, Dustara Bhavasagara Taranam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. O foolish one, chant, chant, sing the name of Govinda. Here is Govinda is not Govinda versus Shiva or Muruga. Invoke divinity, invoke divinity. Through song, through chant, through prayer, through meditation. I have water, thank you. So invoke that and break away from this conditioned mindset. So the Swami was explaining to us as we wrote this drama, there is a Pandit sitting and he is repeating grammar, and he's trying to perfect grammar, and Adi Shankara passes by and he says, "What are you doing?" "No, I'm perfecting grammar, I'm chanting and this and that." He says, what will that do without the Govinda principle? Is it transforming who you are, or you're just caught up in the blind rituals of chanting? And therefore, samprapte, sanhite. So that is the beauty. The idea is that we get caught into this mindless, ritualistic way of living. You might say, okay, I'm not into rituals, I'm into meditation. I'm not talking of that rituals and meditation. I'm talking of life itself. How is that a ritual? Ask yourself what side of the bed you sleep on. That's become exact. That's my side of the bed. What if you decide to switch? You won't be able to sleep well. We love this conditioning ourselves. Everything, there's a favorite sofa in the room, there's a favorite way to sleep, there's my pillow, my bed, my bed sheet, there's a temperature in the room has to be a perfect way, a certain way. I get up. Do you brush your teeth with your left hand or the right hand? What if you switch hands? Do you soap your body with the right hand or the left hand? What if you switch hands? It'll look like a whole new experience. When you change your dish and have something new, what do you tell yourself? I have to go back and eat my food. So you'll go back and eat what you're used to. Conformity, we are conformed with ourselves into that. So that life becomes a ritual. Almost every day is the same thing, right? The TV shows might change, the menu in your food might change, but eating has not changed, the living style has not changed, the thinking habits has not changed. It's more or less the same thing. That's why we are going around and around in the same circles for eons and eons. The avatar comes and lifts us up, we enjoy it, and we are quick to go back to that circle. And what do? We wait for another guru. Sai Baba has gone now. Next guru, who's there? Oh, he does miracles. Let's run after him. So one more guru. For what for? It's an entertainment for us. We want somebody to entertain us, somebody to give us this false hope of, I'll take care of you, don't worry. You keep watching your show, your TV shows, and eat whatever you want, I'll take care of you. Oh, that's the best guru I want. He's not asking me to transform myself. He's not challenging me out of my confirmed beliefs. But here, that's why Swami becomes very special. He awakens us. He wants us to awaken, and he sets an example through his life, through his teachings, through his very everyday life. He taught us these powerful lessons. Break through these ritualistic mindsets. Break out of patterns of conditioned thinking and be free. So the next character trait I learned from Swami, and I want to share with you, is be free. Not only be fearless, but be free. Be free from what? Be free from conditioned thinking. Oh, has to be done this way. This has to be done this way. This is spiritual. This is not spiritual. This is materialistic. And this is samsara. And that is God. We have conditioned ourselves to thinking. And therefore, in that conditioned mindset, we break. Instead of uniting, we divide our lives, our friends, good versus bad, high versus low, right versus wrong. We are constantly caught up in segregating and dividing because we are conditioned to do it that way. Let me give you a very beautiful and a powerful example of how Swami looked. I talked to you yesterday one way of how Swami looks at things, right? This perception. He said, you consider yourself as an atom in the universe. I consider the universe as an atom in me. You can do that too. All you have to do is change the perception. What is the perception of the person who sees the atom in me? Apart from telling this lady many, many years ago, as he was 20, that I will build an ashram in the seemingly impossible place and take up a task which is absolutely seemingly impossible and achieve it, right? Here is another very humorous, but at the same time very, very profound. So there was the 60th birthday of Swami, and we had a play to do, a couple of plays to do. One was English and one was Telugu. The Telugu play was Radha Krishna, and Swami had written that play. And in fact, Swami brought out his notebook and sat with us and showed the notebook. I don't know if he gave it to one of the boys, I'm not sure. But he took out the old notebook and the songs I wrote for that play. He showed us in his own handwriting. Swami has written the song. And he taught it to one boy, Kumar Sundaram, who was very well known as a bhajan singer, who in fact came and raised the standard of bhajan singing in Puttaparthi a few years after boys started singing. Anyway, we'll hold on for that, for the bhajan session or the workshop we'll do later to learn more about that. But Swami taught those songs to this boy because he was a Radha in the Radha Krishna drama. There was Krishna was chosen, and again I had the role of Radha's mother-in-law again. And I still remember my dialogue was shouting at Radha, "Yeme bagladi, yem chestundi," something like that. I had to scream at her. That was just one line I had. And so of course Swami started laughing every time I did that. I'm mother-in-law's role and push her. And she is pining for Krishna and I push her inside the cell. Some funny things like that. Anyway, mother-in-law or old lady, whatever it was in that village. So in that, how did Swami look at things? So here is this boy, a very, very accomplished singer who has learned Carnatic music, for whom singing simple songs is a breeze. He can just do it in his sleep, like many of your YAs can do here. It's amazing. Your talent, your dolak playing, your harmonium is just, I'm so grateful and honored that you're all playing for me. The talent is just, it flows so beautifully, right? And so, when there is so much talent, if I were to come to you, Brother Prashant, Prashant? Hari? Naren. Okay, Naren, sorry. So if I were to come to you and I say, can you play ding ta ding kitaka tikita tin kitaka, simple bhajan beat, can you play? And you will be like, duh, I can, right? Because he's such a accomplished player. Or if I go to you Ganesh and say, brother, can you play sa re ga ma pa? You're like, yes, brother, I can play. If I say, thinking, what is going on? This is what happened now. We are watching Swami teach his song to this boy. This boy is sitting here, and Swami is singing. And I'll give you just a gist of one line. Swami made him sing, and it was Repe Sudinam Manaku Aha Aha. How difficult will this be for a boy to sing? Simple, right? And so he sang. Okay, try again. Okay? And this went on for almost 45 minutes, just on that one line. Swami making him repeat, Atlakadu, again. Now we are witnessing, we are hearing exactly the same line. Swami somehow not tuning in. Was it the bhava? I don't know. What was Swami looking for? None of us, even to this day, can understand. It was something he wanted to get that boy to get from his inner core, I think. Right? I can't speak for him, but we are simply sitting and like listening. Swami singing one line, this boy singing one line, Swami saying no, sing again, and it went on. And like this, each of those lines, 4 lines, 5 lines songs, which apparently was from a music point of view very, very simple. Swami took days and weeks to teach him, getting angry with him, telling him, no, you're not practicing, practice, practice. All right, so there's a good part, the happy ending to the story. So he did practice, Swami was very happy. So now from the interview room, after weeks of that, Swami said, you'll now do on the stage, I'm going to come and listen. So now we are practicing on the stage, we boys, in our practical ways to demonstrate how a drama should be done. I went to Kumar and I said, brother, you know, we all feel you're acting like a girl, so you can make your voice a little lighter and falsify your voice and like sing like a girl. Because he's got a very deep and very rich voice. So he said, yeah, sure, it makes sense to me. So Swami comes to the practice and Radha comes running from there and Radha sings a song. And we're like, yeah, good. S. Kumar got it under his blood. He sang with a false voice and it sounded very feminish. And then Swami saw that. Swami stopped. He called them. What happened to your throat? Very serious, huh? What happened to your throat? You're not feeling well? We can do this tomorrow. No, Swami, I'm okay. Then what? You're singing somehow completely different from what? No, Swami, that is because I'm doing a Radha role, kada, so I wanted to change my voice. Who told you this? He looked at me. I was like, oh God. I literally hid behind because Swami jumped from his chair. Who told you all this? Go and sing with your normal voice. For him, what mattered most was that feeling. He, with great difficulty, got the feeling out of this boy. Now with some false voice, he's kind of destroyed the whole thing. For us, we thought that this fit into a girl's costume he's going to wear, and how will it sound if you have a manly voice, and therefore change your voice. Look how we look at things. Look how he looks at things. So what happened on the final day? We had girls, all girls' costumes dressed, and Radha comes running, and in a solid, deep, manly voice, she sings a song. And Swami was happy. Free from conditioned mindset. It was not what others would think, what everybody is doing should we not do. No, that moment Radha is pining for Krishna, that devotion has to be exemplified by you in your feeling. How that turns out to be, whether people understand or not, was for Swami, it was immaterial. And guess who's sitting and watching this? the president of India, the primary school, even Maya tells me even to this day, because Maya was the student in primary school, they said we were all giggling, what is this? Sounded so odd. It did sound odd. There was no magic happening there. But for Swami, that was correct. So what is correct for God seems to be utterly ridiculous for us. Because we think bigger is better, more is better. So we want more money, bigger things, big organizations, big cars, big homes. We think big, and more is better. But sometimes God might say, none of that really matters. And therefore he was born in a village with nothing. And they says, give me nothing, I'll build. That is nothing is everything. I'm not asking you to give up your home or your job or your car. Please keep to it. I need the ride back in Bhaskaran's Lexus, hopefully. I'm kidding. But after that, you can decide. Perception of God is so vastly different from us because he is free from conditions. You could not condition Swami or conform Swami to what we were doing. He was the only guru, even to this day, who introduced, initiated, if you will, if there's a word called initiation. Swami didn't use it, but we understand it as he taught Gayatri Mantra to men, women, children, Hindus, Christians, Muslims. For him, it was just human beings there and an extension of him. And he taught everyone has a right to meditate and contemplate on the highest wisdom. Dhiyo yona prachodhyat. Illumination, the highest form of illumination, everybody. Even to this day, nobody would dare initiate a woman into Gayatri Mantra. I come from, right now, we just moved to Kanchipuram, my in-laws are there. Kanchipuram is not only a hometown of beautiful ancient temples, it is also the capital of orthodox beliefs of Hinduism. It's really back in time. While that has its own beauty because it's preserving traditions very, very authentically. If you really want to go to authentic, age-old traditions, you need a place to go, like, so you can go there and actually see what's happening in these temples. But when I wanted to learn, and I still want to learn from Vedic chants, from these nice gurus who teach, they ask me, are you going to cross the 7 seas? I do go abroad, then I cannot teach you. They are so orthodox, so they will not teach. Will women be there when you chant? There's the next question. Because now they're seeing on YouTube and video everybody's chanting. I won't teach. I don't want that karma, they will say. So sometimes being authentic and orthodox and tradition is nice, but if that begins to restrict your growth, then perhaps we need to break free. But it's not for me to tell them that. But Swami broke it for us, right? He gave us a chance to say it's okay, be free from those kind of orthodox beliefs which restrict you, which suffocate your growth. Open up. There is no such thing as girls. So he took us back to the Vedic days when there was Gargi and all the greatest Shiva teaches Parvati, and all of those old texts, if you see, they're all dialogues between Shiva and Parvati and Gargi and so on. They're all the most enlightened beings, are all ladies. It later on, because of the constant invasions, endless invasions for 1,500, 2,000 years, in order to protect the women, they were kept inside and they were kept away from all of these, so that they were protected, because they were kidnapped and all the worst things that we could possibly imagine were happening to them, right? Because of these invasions. So they were protected, and that became like a part of lifestyle. Eventually, women should not do this, they should not go to temple, they should not do this. All of that became tradition, and Swami said, okay, it's time for us to go back to the Vedic culture where women were respected. So when you do Sri Chakra worship and all of that, even Devi puts the sacred thread. You put it for her as well, because it is all part of that. Everybody had the right for the highest enlightenment. So Swami comes and initiates everyone because he was free from that orthodox mindset. He was the only one who taught us, and he truly helped us encourage the religion of love, right? Truly encouraged all religions, all festivities and everything. Singing in front of Allah, and I still remember a very humorous thing where there was a Hindu organization had come to see Swami, and Hindu political organization and so on, and the leaders of that organization is sitting. Swami came in to me and told me, sing one Allah bhajan today. And then he sat, I sang Ishwara Allah Ek Tumi Ho. And so he sat in the chair and he did like this. So when my turn came, I sang Ishwara Allah Ek Tumi Ho. And Swami is looking like that at that. Just curious. Let's see what these guys, how they react. So he was never trying to please somebody. Nor did he hurt. He wanted to uplift the thinking. Think more beyond all this. He gave a chance for everyone, whether it's leaders and followers alike. He gave a chance for us to grow and be free from our own limitations. That's the beauty I saw with Swami. As a young boy, being in Swami's room, how did I get there? Because in my first interview, Swami asked, what do you want? I said, I want to be in your room. He said, okay, come from tomorrow. It was as simple as that. So fast and so sweet. And I was so thrilled because I was very curious. What does he do in his room? Does he have a TV to watch? We had not heard of flat screen TVs those days, but we thought the bigger and the bulkier the TV is, the better it is. Nowadays, nobody would want to even buy it, even if you want to give it free, right? Those huge, big things that occupy half the room. Anyway, so I thought Swami had a big TV in his room. He must have had a sofa, because down he has a throne and all of that. So he must be more comfortable. I was curious, just curious. And when Swami asked me that, my curiosity gave expression. I said, I want to be in your room. He said, okay, come from tomorrow. I was so happy. But what I saw was entirely opposite. I saw the simplest, and the room was in bare bones. No chair except one. A single straight back sofa, if you will. Just a single chair. Like you sit in these lounges in the airport. Straight back. Not the recliner ones, which you and I like nowadays. Not that. Straight back. On the one side, there is a set of trays with all letters. On the other side, there's a little trash basket where you will tear the letters and put it. So guess what the pastime of our dear master was? Your letter, my letter. We engaged him, entertained him. Hopefully you and I had some humorous thing to entertain him. Did we? No. We had a list of things that we asked for, things that caused us pain, and people like me, young guys, writing angry letters. Who knows what all trash. And Swami picks up and reads. And then he tears and throws. That was his pastime. As long as I knew him for that 10, 15 years, that was his pastime. The windows had 6 panes, the wooden panes. Only one pane would be open. The rest all are closed. A thick mosquito net, barely letting any light into the room. That was the amount of sunlight he got. One ceiling fan, 1 or 2 100-watt bulbs across the room that lit. Without that lights, the room will be pitch dark. So the light always had to be on. And of course, Swami will go from one room to another. He'll put it off and go. He'll come back and put it on. Very particular, very mindful of being in the moment of everything. Were there at least beautiful paintings on the wall? Bare walls. The same pink color, blue color that you saw around the mandir, same it was painted in stone walls. My dear sisters and brothers, I don't know if you will not agree with me, but I can assure you that you and I trying that for more than a week, we'll end up with a psychiatrist. We'll talk to him about the wild, crazy dreams that we got there, and you and I will want to run away from that place. I mean, think of Singapore being a small island. When you get a holiday, you want to go away to Malaysia or the Batam Islands, and you want to go out of Singapore because it's such a small island. I go half an hour drive here and there. Look at Swami, 10 steps he's at the end of his living quarters, 10 steps. So after food in the evening, Swami does walk. He will lift his 10 steps like this, 10 steps like this. This is his walk. Inside the little room, he'll be walking. It's very hot, he will take off one button from his robe. What was the secret behind that austerity? I wonder. Why are we so afraid to bring discipline into our lives? Why do we use indiscipline as an excuse, and we love sweets, so we offer sweets to Swami and hog them? Swami never touched sweets. We cook modakas for Ganesha. Let's say Ganesha ate them. Fine, good. So we offer it to him because he ate. We don't know, but we'll assume he ate. So offer modakas to him and we ate. Rama likes panagam, so that's some sweet dish, right? So we offer it in Rama Navami, we offer panagam. Let's assume Rama drank. I can assure you, Swami did not take sweets. Why do we offer sweets to Swami? Because we like them. Now you might say, before the Q&A, I'll answer your question. You might say, but Swami gave us sweets on his laddu. On his birthday, he gave us laddus. I have seen videos of him throwing laddus at the devotees. Then if Swami is giving us, then we should have laddus on his birthday. And to that answer there is yes. On his birthday, once a year, have a laddu. Not at every drop of a hat, don't make laddus and sweets and say, Swami's prasadam, I'm going to eat. Right? Swami likes ragi. Swami likes millets. Give that to Swami and eat that. My point is we conform ourselves to certain things. We're afraid to break free from that. Everybody, how can you not have sweet on Swami's birthday? Because sweet means celebration. We have brainwashed ourselves to think sweet means celebration. Correct? And we stick to that. We become conditioned in that thinking. And here is a God who never touched the sweet. He never did. But yet we are afraid to. The conditioned mindset is so strong that in spite of him right there in front of you telling you to your face, you will say, no Swami, you're wrong, I'm right. Before we go there, let's sing one more. Again, invoke this divine presence and pray that in that presence we break free from this ritualistic conditioned mindset, this constant. One of the conditions that we put for is we need something to get somewhere. Spirituality becomes a goal to be reached. Liberation is, I don't know when it will come. It has to come someday. Grace has to come someday. Everything is somehow in the future. Spiritual progress, it will happen someday. When that someday will become today? Have you ever thought of that? How many people have passed by waiting for that someday? And when they pass away, we say they are liberated. Because that's our only answer we can get. But liberation is not when you die, but when you are alive. And therefore, how do we break free from that? Mooda jahihi dana gama trishna. Your craving has become your habit. And therefore, break free from craving. Break free from this craving. Eternally craving to go somewhere to get something. That's why Swami said sealing on desires. The Telugu word he used, for those of you who understand Telugu, was korikalu. Korikalu is not technically desires. Korikalu, strictly translated, is cravings. A desire to drink water is also desire, so that's not bad. But we generally say desires, it's become a common thing. But craving is, we don't need to crave. Because when craving becomes your is part of that, I need this, I want this, and then wanting becomes a reality in life. You're kept wanting. Somebody who wanted to be very rich, Swami said tathastu. When I say Swami, there's an analogy, right? God always says tathastu. The universe always says so be it, so be it. Because kalpa vriksha, right? The wish fulfilling tree is always saying so be it, so be it, so be it. I need liberation, so be it. 10 years later, I need liberation, so be it. What is happening? You're kept wanting liberation. So you'll be wanting liberation till the day you die. What if you say, I am liberated, so be it. I am liberated, so be it. That so be it of I am liberated, I have always been liberated, I am God, I am divine, becomes a true reality. Because the universe is blessing you with that reality. But once you wait for something, that waiting becomes a reality. And therefore in this beautiful verse of Bhaja Govindam, Adi Shankara says, stop craving, stop craving. Contentment is the key. So be free. So let us invoke the divine with this beautiful bhajan and experience, at least at this moment, freedom from conditioned mindset, freedom from fear. Let us invoke Bhagavan. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudamate, Mud जहि धनागम तृष्णा मूढ़ जहि धनागम तृष्णा कुरु सद्बुद्धिं मनसि वितृष्णा यल्लवसे निज कर्मोपातं यल्लवसे निज कर्मोपातं वित्तं तेन विनोदय चेत्तं वित्तं तेन विनोदय चेत्तं कृष्ण राम कृष्ण 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 राम राधे कृष्ण कृष्ण राम राम कृष्ण राम गोविंद गोकुल राम कृष्ण गोविंद जय वृंदावन गोपाला साई कृष्ण गोविंद त्रय वृंदावन गोपाला त्रय वृंदावन गोपाला राधे गोपाला गोपाला राधे गोपाला राधे गोकुल नंदन गोपरिपाला राधे गोपाला राधे गोपाला गोकुल नंदन गोपरिपाला राधे गोपाला कृष्ण राम गोविंद गोकुल नंदन गोपाला. That was the second scene in the Bhaja Govindam, where a rich man comes and Adi Shankara teaches him, stop craving. So the beauty was, again, another beautiful childish part of Swami, and the profound lesson he teaches at the same time. So a jaguar was donated to Swami. I think it was close to that 60th birthday, so maybe around 84, 85. Swami didn't keep it for long, he gave it away. So we are in Vrindavan, because he's taken this music boys and the drama boys there to Vrindavan to practice and spend time with the music boys. So there is this evening, the jaguar is going to come to Vrindavan. And so Swami is sitting out of his, this was an old, the old bungalow was there at that time. So he's sitting outside the old bungalow. There is a pathway on which he's sitting, because the car is going to drive. This, like a 5-year-old, he can't sit inside and wait. He has to sit right on the driveway. The chair was put. And all of us are sitting on the driveway. And Swami said, you know what is coming? There's a new kind of car. You can open it and look up also. And there is petrol is the petrol that is used for planes. That is what they put in the car. And he was so like excited about it. And of course, we as young boys, we were also very excited about Jaguar. We get to see Swami in Jaguar. And so just to complete that part, when Jaguar did come, Swami was so excited, he sat inside and he stood on the seat, came out of and he went around Vrindavan waving to devotees. Very childish. At that moment, he wants to be a child, he's just a child. You know, you and I will say, whatever, I mean, my status is, you know, Sai Baba, what is this? I can't behave like a child. Nothing like that. At this moment, oh, this car has come, I can stand up. Okay, let me stand up. So half of his body outside the car, he's waving to people. It was such a beautiful moment. You know, we as young boys, we don't know what to make of this. What Swami is so easy, so beautiful. But again, then his thoughts come as when he shares the wisdom, it suddenly he shows the distance, right? So he was sitting before the car came. So he's sitting on the chair and he is talking to us about the car and all of that. Then he is just, there are moments of silence. He's just looking like this. And there's a little ant, the black ant, the big black ant, whom we call Ganesha. Unfortunately, the red ants, we just kill them without any, but the black ant somehow are Ganesha. I don't know why, but nevertheless, there was this big black ant going, and it had carried with him a twig, maybe a sugarcane piece or something it was carrying. And there was a little crack in that it was trying to go in. And that little twig was coming in the way. It couldn't go in. And Swami was looking at it. He says, "Yo, Papa, look at this. So much luggage it is taking. By finally, when it was to enter also, it can't. It has to." Then the ant dropped it and went inside. Then Swami said, "Abba, ide, all your luggage you have to let go. And what are you going to take with you?" And Swami said, "Your education, your degree, your bank balance, anta vadileesi povala. When the time comes, you have to let go of everything and go. This is life." And so it ties down to this. And that's what gave birth to that Bhajagovindam Muda Jahihi Dhanagama Krishna. That you want wealth, you're proud of your wealth and all of this, but none of this matters when that moment comes to pass. You're not going to take even a single penny. We know this in principle, right? But when we bring that as a value in life, then simplicity in life becomes a natural. It's not a forced upon us. We don't have to practice healing on desire, but we learn to be content. And that contentment becomes our nature. And therefore, Swami says, the content man is the richest man because he has no wantings and no cravings. Which is why Shirdi Baba chose a broken down masjid to teach, which is why Sai Baba chose a God-forsaken village, if you will, whose name was scary, Puttaparthi, the home of scorpions. And so they break that and teach us to become free. In the days that I stayed with Swami, when are we going to take a break? 4 o'clock? Okay. So let me finish this in context of what I spoke before we introduce the next segment. We talked about being free and being fearless, right? So there was this incident where Swami would call us Dasara time and help us with some and give us tips of what to speak during the Dasara days. 10 days, 10 boys will speak before Swami speaks. So this was one of those days, earlier days, where we didn't know what to speak, and Swami also wanted to make sure that the boys don't say something untoward on the stage. They're young boys, right? And so Swami would ask, "What are you going to speak?" Okay, then you speak like this, speak like that. Give some tips so that he can frame his talk accordingly. So we were eagerly looking forward for those guidelines from Swami, if you will, that made it very easy for us. And so there was this one evening where Swami had a devotee from Bangalore, and Swami said, "These boys want to speak, they want some experiences. Cheppu, tell some of your experiences," like that. And then this lady told them, "I want to tell, Swami, shall I tell them the story of how you appeared in my home?" Good, tell that story. And Swami got again excited. He gets to listen to a story. So he was more excited than us. Tell that story. So this lady told us the story. And the story was thus. She wasn't a devotee of Swami. A neighbor was a great devotee of Swami. And in a neighbor's house, there's those vibhuti coming, and they kept prasadam, and the prasadam will have finger marks or whatever it is. And they thought Swami made his presence felt, if you will. And so this lady thought, "Oh, Sai Baba comes to that house, so he can come to this house also. What do I need to do? I just need to set up an altar and put his picture and put a chair. As simple as that." So she did all that. And she also organized bhajans. So I will also organize bhajans, so maybe Baba will come to my house. Because he came there, neighbor only, right? It's just, you don't have to take a crab and come here. You just have to walk down. So she said she tried it, and then nothing happened for weeks and months, nothing happened. And she was very upset. She was thinking, Baba can come there, what wrong have I done? I've also been a good housewife, I've been a good mother. Why can't God come to my house? And therefore she decided, one thing led to the other, and finally she said, "I'm going to, today after bhajans, just sit down and call Swami and not get up till he comes." She decided that. And then she sits and she starts chanting, "Om Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba Namah, Om Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba Namah, Om Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba Namah." Swami intercepts that whole night Chipindi. And she says, "Swami, not one night, 2 nights." So she sat there 24, 48 hours. I'm not saying you should do this at home. It's entirely up to you, disclaimer. But she sat. And then Swami said, okay, then what happened? Third day morning, what happened? Tell. He knows the end, but he can't wait for her. She said, "Third morning, I saw Swami sitting in the chair. I had Pratyaksha Darshanam of Swami." And Swami didn't give us a chance to enjoy that. He immediately said, "But you know what happened to her? Should I tell?" She was afraid. She was afraid. she was afraid. And Swami kind of made fun of her in that sense. Swami, she's called out to Swami. Swami came and now she was afraid. And we also smiled, laughed, like, giggled. And she said, yes, Swami, I was afraid. Swami said, why should you be afraid? Why were you afraid? You called me, I came. At that moment when I listened to this episode, I was thinking, yeah, true, why could she be afraid? I mean, these devotees, they need to be, up there. Me with my meditations, I thought I was up here and she was, yeah, maybe she was not mature enough. Like, who would be afraid when you call Swami and Swami gives you darshan, right? That was my thought that passed my mind. 2 or 3 days later, my chance for me to talk came. Dasara was already on, and I had my chance. Or 2 weeks later, this is much before Dasara. So when the Dasara came, my turn came on Saraswati Puja. Invariably, I got a chance to speak. So Swami would. So what happens when the boys were to speak in Purnachandra auditorium? They go backstage and wait, and Swami would go in, and just before Swami would give a blessing, just kind of reassurance. Don't worry, don't be afraid, kind of a thing. Because as young boys, we were terrified of speaking in front of Swami, and of course also the audience was huge. It was a lot to take in, correct? And so nevertheless, Swami will say, and Swami might give an additional tip or two. Start with this experience, tell about this, something for us to. So we always sit in the backstage, and when Swami comes out of this thing, we'll also follow and sit there. Swami will give darshan, come back and sit on the chair, and the whole program begins. So I was waiting backstage with my talk prepared in my head, and Swami came, and the Purnachandra auditorium has 2 huge curtains, and they are operated by machines. So for the whole thing to open. But many times, they will not open the entire curtain. They will just part a little bit from the bottom, because it's almost 20 feet high. They'll just part it from the bottom for Swami to step out. So you'll see this tiny orange robe behind that blue velvet curtain. It's a very beautiful darshan. So there'll be 2 volunteers behind the stage who will normally actually pull the curtain aside for Swami to walk, so that his hair doesn't get disturbed and things like that. That particular evening he entered, he came to the backstage, he told me, come. And I went to Swami and he held my hand. He waved the Sevaldars aside, like this. So they moved out. And he pulled the curtain with his own hand, and he's holding me, he walked into that. So there's an overlap of almost 7-8 feet, almost 10 feet, I think. There's an overlap of these curtains. So there's a moment when Swami is inside the curtain, I am with Swami, that side is closed, this side is not open, right? This is happening pretty fast, but I'm just giving you a slow motion version of it. And then he stops there. As it is, I have to speak. I got butterflies in my stomach. And this Swami holding my hand and literally dragging me in and taking me in between these curtains, he stops. Are you afraid? What should I have told me? He's holding my hand. What should I have told him? Why should I be afraid, Swami? You're holding my hand. Guess what I said? Yes, Swami, I'm afraid. It was the most humbling experience of my life. And Swami said, Dunno pota, when I am there, why should you be afraid? Nenu unnatappudu bhayandu enduku, he said. And he walked out and just let me go. He wanted to teach me that lesson. You think you're overcome here. There I only gave darshan, she was scared. Here I'm holding a hand, why should you be scared? And yet what came out of her mouth was, yes, Swami, I'm scared. So when we say we have faith in Swami, we experience Swami, yet fear has not gone, this is why. Because we are habituated to being afraid. And we think it's okay to be afraid. But with God next to us, why should we be? And it's time for us to question. We may not overcome fear all of a sudden, overnight. But unless we question it and see the devil, like I told you yesterday, right? Face the devil. The devil is our doubt, devil is fear, devil is conformity. Everybody does, I may have to do it. No, what is it? Who am I really? What speaks right to me in my heart? Let me do that, not what others think is right or wrong. Let them not determine what I should do. Let my conscience guide me. Let my heart guide my decisions. If we are able to go with that, then we take these beautiful steps towards being Swami. Follow his steps. Follow the master. Face the devil. We learn to do that. We become fearless. We become free. We will be less afraid than yesterday if we open our mind to take one fear at a time. We'll be less afraid tomorrow. And there will come a time where you'll say, enough of fear. I'm not afraid anymore. I have found peace because I have experienced his presence in my life. I know you're all waiting for a break, so let's take a short break and come back again for the satsang.
Saram uncle. Yeah, firstly, thanks for coming here and thanks for an amazing talk just now.
And
So
thank you for the easy question.
it'll be easy for you, but it's been difficult for me. So my question is, as a young adult, with every passing year, I've had more responsibilities added. So just on top of work and seva and being a father and potentially taking care of parents and all that. So at any point in time, my mind is juggling between all of these responsibilities, and that's quite normal for a number of other young adults as well. Um, in the midst of all this, I have to take time for myself, for self-care. And whenever I do that, I face a little bit of guilt. I'm like, it has to come at the expense of something, and I have to disappoint someone. So I struggle with that quite a lot. And I was wondering if you can offer me some guidance on how I can find the balance that I need. Yeah. I hope it's not too difficult.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prashanti. Just one more person, the similar question, but I feel that it's good to hear from different young adults. One more.
Okay, Sairam, I'm Sister Sasi. I'm also a young adult and I'm also a SSC guru. So Swami always reminded us of how the importance of balance and harmony in life. So now that I'm doing center work, I sometimes feel that I no longer have enough time for other responsibilities and personal priorities that used to be important to me back then. So how can I prioritize between work, center activities, and personal life in a way that is aligned to his teachings on balance and duty? Sairam.
Okay. And I thought this was a friendly center. These are two very profound questions. And I don't think there is an easy answer to this. But you're using the word balance. And I think that shifts the perspective a little bit. And I want you to think not in terms of balance, but in terms of harmony. You bring harmony between the different aspects of life. When we say balance, there is a sense, somehow there is an inbuilt feeling or necessity to balance one weight versus the side. Suppose there has to be an equal, suppose we think there has to be an equal pressure to Swami's work and my personal life, and then, oh my gosh, now where is room for my work to come in? So we are going to constantly struggle because we are trying to balance. And I think the issue is trying to balance. What does that mean? An artist who has a canvas in front has a choice of colors on his or her palette. She doesn't try to balance the colors on the canvas. She tries to harmonize colors for a larger vision. And there could be more of red on her canvas. There could be more of blue on her neighbor's canvas. But each one is painting a different vision of what they see on the canvas. There is a mix of colors. Both of them are using the same set of colors from their palette in the hand. But they're not balancing the colors on the canvas. Then that would be a geometrical design, which has probably some context to it, but the beauty of the art comes when there is a harmony of colors. So think in terms of harmonizing different workforces. So what does that mean? In different phases of life, in different times of the week, in different days, in different hours, you have to harmonize different energies. When you go to sleep at night, it is entirely a personal time because that's just about me. That time you can't think of serving Swami, unless of course you're planning for an event and exceptional cases are there. I know of a couple of night owls who love to work at night. That's different, I'm just kidding. But apart from exceptions, generally there is a time where you have to devote for yourself. At that time you don't feel guilty about, oh my gosh, I'm taking time out for myself. And there is a context for each time. If you are a parent and if your child needs your help, and that absolutely becomes a priority. If you're just fresh in your job, that absolutely becomes a priority. But there's a phase, right? You're not completely now given up everything and you're only going to focus on your career. So till that takes off, there is an element of priority you have to give to that. Think of Swami's mission. And I learned this with Swami's mission. When he started his school, and he started the Iswaramaya school, he focused on that. When he started the college, he focused on education for let's say for 10 or 15 years of his life. It was just focus on education. There was a hospital, there was a vision to set up free medicine, and there was a free medicine being given. but the hospital was small. If you remember, for those of you who have been to Puttaparthi before the 90s, it was up in the roadway to the ad block. Now that hospital itself is a fairly big hospital. That is a hospital I know when I was lying there after the snake bite incident, which I might get time to tell tomorrow. But that was a small hospital. Free medicine was being given. The vision was not compromised, but his focus was different at different times. And then the hospital came. Then the hospital and medicine became a big focus of his life for about 5 or 6 years till the super specialty was built, and all the focus was towards that, training, getting doctors and getting free medicines and all of that going. And then the water project came. None of these was stopped at any point, but the focus shifted. So as we grow in our lives and we go through different phases, as a bachelor, I might have more time to do these things. But when I get married and people might say, now you are married, you have forgotten Swami. That's different. The point here is you're not forgotten Swami. Your duties and your responsibilities shift. When you have a child, your duties and responsibilities shift. And I don't know of Swami telling anyone, give up your duties and responsibilities for my work. If you have a larger vision in life where all of this is part of Swami's work. Now you might ask, if I'm focusing so much on my child, how is it part of Swami's work? If you bring up a child very well, he might be the future leader of the world. And that's the greatest service you can do to a parent, as a parent, right? And so if you have a loving relation, a trusting relationship with your spouse, and y'all are setting up a happy family, that goes a long way. You don't have to tell people we are happy, they'll know it. So that goes a long way in inspiring so many people to say, my God, look at them, they're so happy together. Why can't we be like that? So there are different ways you can be, you are still part of that vision of Swami. As long as, so I would ask you the question is, what is your bigger vision? What is the vision you have on your back canvas? What is it that you want to paint with your life? If you don't have a goal, then you're going to be struggling because you don't know where is all of this taking me. What is your vision in life? Where are you going with it? Then you will find everything that you do has a role to play there, right? So I urge all of you to have a clear vision of your life. And it doesn't have to be the perfect vision. It doesn't have to be the right or wrong. There's no such thing as right or wrong vision. You take a vision and start, and that vision will mold itself according to your strengths and your learning. The vision will build itself and come to exactly the way you want it. It's like the chapati you start rolling. It doesn't have to be the perfect circle. But you learn, okay, I don't mind a little oval-shaped chapati. It doesn't change the taste. And you might settle for oval-shaped chapati, but you still get a chapati out of it. But if you don't know what you're doing with that, little bit of flour in your hand, you'll be just playing with it, and you may not end up making a chapati at all because that was not in your vision. What I'm trying to say is, a vision in life guides your steps. And in your attempt to bring that vision into manifestation, you will learn to harmonize different aspects of your life, including center work, Swami's work. All that will blend very beautifully. You will get time for everything at the right time, at the right place, in the right context. You will find place. But if you start feeling guilty, I am not able to give time as much as I did earlier, then that guilt will take you further away from Swami's work, and you will just go into a shell. You will say, I used to do all this, now I don't know, somehow I'm just not able to work. And you might give up altogether, because what is stressing you out is not really bringing the fact that you're not able to clearly think how to balance. That's why again the word balance comes. You want to allocate time, you want to allocate resources and be smart about it. You can't be smart about it. You're an artist. You have to paint your life. You have to harmonize all of this. Lack of time is not an excuse for anything in life. I don't think the greatest achievers in life never had time. They didn't achieve because they had time. It is the fact that there is less time and the fact there is more demand is what is going to bring out your inner creativity. That challenge is what is going to make you grow. If the ground was too soft, the plant doesn't grow. The ground is hard, not too hard, it won't grow. Like a rock, it won't grow. It needs that firmness, but yet not so firm, not so loose, or not too firm, but that perfect balance where the roots get strength to dig into the ground, and that strength provides the tree or the plant to grow. We need that. And that is an art you learn. So there is really no straightforward answer to say, okay, this is how you're going to balance 30% of your life, give it to your wife. 10% is okay if your file is under 5. 50% it has to be for Swami's work. I wish it was like that. It cannot be. And if you're looking for something like that, it's just not possible. But there are times in a month, there's a time in a year where you can focus more. There are certain events that come up where you say, all right, you know what? I'm going to take off from work and focus on this. Let's make this a grand event. And then you focus on this and give your full energy. There are phases in life like that. A child who's in SSC goes into college, such a different set of demands come upon them. Give them time to breathe. Get used to college life. You can't quickly say, you're missing bhajans, you're doing this, you have to come back. You can't force them. What happens is then they back out, right? So it is a blending of all of these apparently conflicting forces. They seem to be only apparently conflicting. They're not, they are the forces that make your life, make who you are. You are a father, you are a team player at work, you are a husband, you are a Sevadal at Swami's this thing, you are SSC teacher to the kids. So these demands help actually enrich your personality. And there will be a time where you have to pay attention to each one. How that changes according to age, according to phase in life, and according to times in the year, according to events that demand attention. So don't think of them as conflicting. Because you're paying attention to your parents doesn't mean you're not doing Swami's work. He's the one who's given you your parents, and your duty towards your parents as foremost as the duty towards your child. You're not being selfish there. You don't have to feel guilty about it, right? So become an artist. Take a paint and paint a vision for your life and let it have a blend of colors and enjoy every part of that life. Enjoy the challenge as much as enjoy what you like to do versus enjoy what you may not necessarily like to do as well. It's part of the training. Nobody likes to train hard for a marathon, but they like getting the medal. So enjoy getting the medal, but enjoy also training for the marathon, which is not so fun. But that also becomes part of the enjoyment, right? Do I make sense? Okay. Thank you. Did I pass the test? Next time, just charge extra fees for the YAs to come in. I'm kidding. Thank you for that profound question. I think we need to have this kind of debates and sessions where we explore this. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is very easy, I think. What is surrender, and to whom am I surrendering to if Swami and I are one? Please guide with practical tips.
I like how everything needs to be practical. Surrender is a very, very beautiful and one of the most empowering concepts that I learned from Swami. At first, I think you surrender to Swami. And when would I surrender to Swami? When I don't know to make a decision, when I'm stuck in crossroads and I don't know left versus right, what should I do? I say, let's surrender to Swami and let him decide. What does that mean? I might draw a chit and put it to Swami. You pick up something and you decide. Is that surrender? Or here is an analogy Swami would give. The candlelight gives light in the night. A little bulb gives you light in the night. But when the sun rises, the light from the bulb may be there, may not be there. It doesn't matter. But what truly gives light now is this light from the sun, right? The light from the sun gives the light to the room. And the light of Swami's room that he talked about yesterday and the flashlight that we had, the flashlight becomes redundant. Is the flashlight surrendering to the big light? The flashlight just realizes that it is of no use because the bigger light is taken over. So surrendering is understanding that there is a higher orchestration taking place and you respect that and allow that energy to guide your thoughts. When you surrender to a higher wisdom within you, you're truly surrendering. You're surrendering, like I said, if you're afraid, surrender fear to Swami. If you're conditioned, surrender your conditioned mindsets to Swami. Become free. All that we are talking about in the last 1.5 hours is our steps towards that surrender. It's not somebody else making decision. It is your own higher self making the decision. If I and Swami are one, whom am I surrendering? You're surrendering to yourself. Yourself is Swami. The higher self is Swami. It's not different from Swami. The fundamental principle in surrender is you have to realize there was only He and there will always be only He. The I is just an interim. There is only He. There is only God that exists. There is nothing outside God exists, period. There is only pure consciousness, the Shakti principle or the Shivam principle, however you want to call it, the Sai principle, Krishna consciousness, the Christ consciousness. All of these are terms to explain that the one consciousness has become all of this. So you and I surrendering is just an illusion. Let me hold on to that thought. But we have a body, we have a mind. How do we feel different from Swami? So where is surrender fit in? So we asked this question to Swami once, and Swami said, the difference is you always, once you accept God in any relationship, you have already surrendered to the higher principle. You have already surrendered. No, he said. And he gave an example of Hanuman. He said Hanuman always had surrendered to Rama. When he was in his body consciousness, he surrendered as a servant. And he let his master tell him what to do, he did. That was surrender. Even though he saw the difference as I am the servant and he is my master, Dasoham, right? The Dasabhak. That is, I am a servant. Whatever he tells me, I will do. He tells me, go find Sita, I will go. That was this. But that level of surrender was because he was identified himself with the body, he surrendered as a servant to the master. Whatever you say, I will do. No questions asked. Swami said when he related to his emotions, when Bhakti Bhava came, then he said, I am a devotee and you are my God. Then he connected to God as a devotee. That is also surrender, he said. Swami said that is also surrender. And finally, when he realized his Atma Tattva, he said, Rama and I are one. There's actually a Sanskrit sloka that explains this very beautifully. And so Swami said, finally, in the Atma Tattva, in the spirit, when he goes into his spiritual self, he says, Rama and I are one. Swami said that is also surrender. It doesn't have to be all the time, Swami and I are one, whom I surrender. No, as a servant, you serve, you surrender to Swami. Just by being a servant. As a devotee, just by being a devotee to Swami, you have already surrendered. We think that is not surrender, but it is surrender. Why are you here? Why are you not at home? You surrendered that time of your personal life to be here. Why? Because you felt connected to Swami. He pulled you here, right? The higher power guided you here. Your own higher self guided you here. Your higher self guides you. So you are surrendering the little pettiness of your mind to the higher purposes in life. When you serve the society, you're surrendering the little time that you have for yourself, you're letting go, and you're serving a bigger cause. So you're letting go a little part of you and becoming a part of a bigger. So surrender is taking place at every step in devotion. It doesn't have to be a technical thing. You won't get up one day and say, I finally surrendered. If you're doing that, then you're not. But so that is the beauty of surrender. And the ultimate where you will realize I never existed to surrender. That concept of surrender itself becomes redundant. So we were talking about the river and the ocean, right? So Swami asked about surrender. He said, when the river, so what is the end of spirituality, he asked. In context of this surrender and becoming one with God, he asked us once, what is the end of spirituality? And we said, Swami, merging with God. What is merging with God? Surrendering to God, surrendering to Swami. What does that mean? So one boy said, Swami is like a river merging into the ocean. Oh, river merging into the ocean is the end of spirituality? Yes. It's the end of spirituality. Yes, Swami. The river merging into the ocean, the river becomes the ocean. That is the beginning of spirituality. It is the beginning of the river living as the ocean now. Until then, it was living as a river. Now it lives as the ocean. You see the difference? When the river merges into the ocean, there is no river saying, I have merged into the ocean, I have merged into the ocean. It has become the ocean. And the ocean is always saying, I am the ocean, I am the ocean. So the river merges into the ocean is the beginning of spirituality. So when you and I talk of surrender, surrender is the first step to spirituality. So since we have started taking those steps, remember that we are already in this ocean. And the ocean, we are becoming part of the ocean. So surrender is not a one-time thing, it's not a one-time goal, but it is a slow cessation of this idea of I and the birth of a much larger presence of which I am a part of. And I become part of the light, the candlelight becomes redundant, the sunlight begins to light my life. The Swami's light lights up the room, and my little flashlight, I'll see, oh, Swami's light came, so I don't need this anymore. I'll put it in my pocket and do it in his light. I will see things the way Swami saw it. That guidance will come, that knowledge will come. Not overnight, but slowly with these beautiful paths Swami showed us. And one of the things about this, the cessation of the I and allowing Swami to take over, is slowly living according to his principles. What was dear to him? What was dear to him? In my last drama that I wrote with Swami, I really saw the power of Swami's love when he talked about oneness and unity. There was so much of cry literally in Swami's heart. He said, I want 100 boys plus on that stage, and I want unity to be proclaimed to the world. That is all I want. Unity is divinity. He said, call your drama Unity is Divinity. There is nothing outside divinity if there's no unity. In other words, we have to be, am I inclusive in my life? Forget this organization, that organization, Christian versus Muslim. Forget all what everybody else is doing. Forget what your neighbor is doing next to you right now. Ask yourself, do I believe? Do I practice? Do I live? And am I freely practicing that all inclusive? Not as a philosophy, in practice. Do I follow my heart? Do I openly accept? Now you might say, but if there is a bad person, how can I accept? You don't have to accept the bad person. You don't have to go and hug a cobra and say, oh my dear, I love you. That's a bad idea. Swami gives a very beautiful example there. He says there is an elephant and a mahout coming this way. And there's a young disciple whose guru has just told him God is in every creature, everybody, God is everywhere. Always respect God. And so he says, I'm going to practice it. So he's standing in the middle of the road. That mahout is saying, this elephant is going a little out of control, please get out of the way. And this young disciple, this enthusiastic disciple says, aha, I know the answer. God is in that elephant, he's not going to do anything to me, he stands. Poor fellow. The elephant picks him up, throws him, and continues. This man rushes to the master and says, what did you do to me? You're not teaching me the right thing. If God was in the elephant, why did the elephant hurt me? And the guru very patiently replied, God was also in the mahout who was telling you to move away. So in our earnestness to see God, we choose where to see God, where not to. That is our problem. But it is truly understanding that God exists in everyone and every person. Every person is playing his or her role. There is a reason why there is a volcano. There's a reason why there's an earthquake. There's a reason why there's a lotus flower blooming. There's a reason why there's a lotus flower blooming. There's a reason why beautiful children are born. There's a reason why young children pass away. There's a reason for everything. There's part of a divine orchestration for which we have no answers, why or what or how. But that is what it is. The beauty and the drama, the orchestration of consciousness. And we have to just open our mind to include everyone. That is the steps towards the surrender. Without that, you cannot experience spirituality if anybody, anywhere teaches you them versus us, he versus she. It is impossible. It can't happen. The moment you have segregation in your head, this God versus that God, or that God was. So how did I learn this? Shivratri. The whole night Shiva bhajans, Shiva bhajans, Shiva bhajans. What else would you sing, right? Like yesterday, the Vijay Dasmi, everybody sang Devi bhajans. Why? Because Devi enjoy Devi bhajans. At the end of Shivratri, Swami will sing, Prema mudita manase kaho Ram, Ram, Ram. Like, why at the end of Shiva bhajan? Why Ram? For him, there was no difference. The difference was in our head. There was no difference for him. It is God's name. Why do we distinguish? So, in bhajans like this, you have to ask yourself, challenge yourself. Why? Just because it's Vijay Dasmi, why can't we sing Krishna bhajans? Why not Rama bhajans? Ask yourself and sing it. Maybe others won't understand, but in your heart, if you feel that oneness, you begin to take those steps. In other words, one is philosophizing, one is being scholarly and saying, that is all nice for philosophy, but I have to be practical. No, in that practical life, show that you embrace. Embrace God, embrace that oneness principle. Then you as the I will merge. The Ravana with all his 10 heads, the mind with all its senses will slowly die. And Swami takes over. It does take over. Honestly, I'm telling you, when that presence takes over and begins to guide you, you feel so enriched, so empowered. Yeah.
There's a question from India.
Saram brother. So this question is about mantra chanting, because I think I've heard your other talks where you
About
always
chanting?
mantra chanting,
Mantra chanting,
Vedam
yeah.
chanting, and
Yeah.
all that. So you always say about even bhajan singing, right? I think it's easier for bhajans than Vedam mantra chanting. About invoking feelings, the bhava part. So often when because okay, for myself, I don't understand the meaning. Maybe I may understand one word here and there, what it means. So when I'm chanting, how do I invoke that feeling part without it being very mechanical? Often for me, what happens is I chant, I enjoy it, but it becomes very mechanical. I don't understand the meaning. So how do I invoke the feeling part and deepen that connection and love for God through Vedam chanting or mantra chanting and all that?
Okay. The only way is to study the meaning first. And that's the difficult part. We all love the chanting. We are taught how to chant. We pay so much emphasis on the grammar and the chanting and when the intonations of the Vedic chants, and all that is important. But in traditional teaching of Vedic sciences, that was the first step. We stop at the first step. Then we start demonstrating how much we know, how we do group chanting, and we do all of that. But that is only the first step. First step is to listen and chant properly. Second step is to memorize the chant. We're not even begin. These are just the baby steps we have taken towards understanding, let us say something like Sri Rudram or Sri Suktam, for example, or Narayana Suktam. The meaning is just so profound in Narayana Suktam, it tells you exactly where Narayana is in your body. It's literally, geographically, it tells you literally how there's a thin stem which is like a lightning rod, and right there in the middle, this is where Narayana is. And that Narayana is not different from Hari and Brahma and Shiva and Indra, Rudra, and all of that it explains. If you don't understand that, you won't enjoy that, correct? So, especially with Vedic chanting, there are so many parameters to Vedic chanting, and there are benefits at every stage. The first benefit is when you listen and learn to chant, you're forming neural pathways. That's the benefit of that. That's it, period. So you're learning, you're twisting your tongue in new ways, you're learning new aksharas, you're learning the sa versus sh versus sh, you're saying ksha, what happens when I combine two words, the meaning, the sound changes, you're learning to all of that. So your brain is creating neural pathways. That's it. So Brother Bhaskaran from the transport department has just drawn which roads should go where, and all that is done by that government and set. But that doesn't mean now suddenly everything else has fallen in place. Now we have to begin to drive there, right? So then we start memorizing that. That's the second step. This is a traditional learning. That itself has tremendous benefits. For example, your dementia is almost prevented in cases. Now I have people in my family where dementia is slowed down so much simply because we tell them all you have to do is sit and learn one sloka. And chant it together, learn proper pronunciation, not simply, no, Swami won't mind, I will chant and make mistakes simply because it's convenient to us. No, not there. But you learn exactly the way it should be because you're creating neural pathways in the brain. Your gray matter in the brain actually is growing, physically growing. So your brain does not get old, and you will be able to utilize that energy in all aspects of your life. Trust me. Vedic wisdom was not to make you a sannyasi or a monk. Sannyasis taught us, monks taught us, because like I said, out of those 1500 years of invasion, even common man lost that access to that wisdom. Otherwise it was there. Every family had access to that wisdom. So now to revive it, people gave up everything and dedicated their lives to revive the Vedic culture. And that's why even to this day you have monks teaching us. So in our unconsciously what we think, Vedic life and sadhana and spirituality means monks. I am a family holder, that doesn't apply to me. We kind of read the body language and think they are segregated. But Vedic, the whole concept of Vedic lifestyle was ultimate form of self-empowerment. India was the superpower for thousands of years. We had knowledge of all the metals. We knew that the world was round, not flat. We have it recorded in the Vedas, the Surya Siddhantam and ancient doctrines which are 10, 15,000 years old. They had already recorded the distance between these planets, the diameter of these planets, and they are almost 90% to what NASA is finding. And my response to that would be, NASA will someday get it correct, because we knew that, right? And so that amount of empowerment, that access to that other dimensions. There are different ways of calculating mathematics. There's Vedic mathematics, a whole different way of calculating. When you open your mind to studying that purely as an exercise at this point, like we are learning to chant as an exercise, there are benefits. And those benefits themselves, like I said, are very profound. Then comes memory. Memory has a direct relation to the sense of smell, and smell and memory are linked, and smell is linked to the earth element. We'll talk about it in the yoga tomorrow. I'll introduce yoga, the concept when we talk of introduction to yoga, how the ancient yoga looks at the body and how we are part of the 5 elements. So when you talk about that, when you start memorizing, you are directly coming to matter in your body. You're actually causing healing in your body, because memory has that direct access to the sense of smell. Sense of smell has access to the Mooladhara, where Ganesha resides, and he brings and breaks free the conditioned mindset. He begins to break free, and then we actually cause healing in the body and lightweight in the body. The body feels young, energetic, and all of that happens by sheerly memorizing, apart from what memory by itself does to the brain and so on and so forth. So there are different benefits you get. Now we are still not even gone to the spirit. Now when you say, all right, I've learned how to chant, let us say the Narayana Suktam, relatively easy, short one, correct? Then I've understood the meaning. Now, I've memorized it, I've learned to chant, I've memorized it. Now if I study the meaning, step by step. That's the most difficult part, because that taxes are everything that we have. Why should I study? God is there. Suddenly all these convenient philosophies will come and distract you. And we'll think we are suddenly taking the Bhakti Marga. No, it's not. Because something is convenient, don't think it is devotion. So when we take that study up and we want to understand the essence of Narayana Tattva, we want to understand the essence of Sri Rudram. What is so powerful about Sri Rudram? Let me understand and study, and then it makes you think. The meaning makes you think. The third Anuvaka of Rudram is you're actually praising robbers. Next time somebody breaks into your house, don't call the cops. I'm kidding. The point there is, it's true. You are the one who robs by the day. You are the one who robs in the night. All of that is there. You are the one who wields the sword and the arrows and everything. You're praising Shiva in his most fearful form. That is, in other words, I'm trying to get all this fear out of me and thinking it's all part of the God principle. So when you understand Rudram in all its aspects, slowly meditating, and that understanding of Rudram took me quite a few years. I wouldn't even say I've understood that, but when I chant, I know what I'm chanting at least. But that suddenly opens up my mind. That is where the bhava connects, and that experience is priceless. I cannot tell you what that experience is. You experience it when you understand that meaning. Now I am chanting, I've memorized it, so I don't have to worry what's the next line. So all the stress part is over, the basics are over, A for apple, B for bat is over. Now I get to compose poems and I understand what it is. Now the beauty and the joy of chanting the mantra truly comes. So if you're enjoying mantra chanting, remember, I'll assure you, without meaning, you're only scratching a tiny bit of that surface. When the meaning begins to happen in your consciousness and you chant with meaning, then the pratyaksha devata begins to manifest in your consciousness. You truly Ganesha. These are not just philosophies. These are open for you. Any of you, you don't have to believe it at all. Understand and chant with meaning and watch what happens to your subconscious, unconscious mind. It will clear the path for divinity to find expression. And that energy that you're chanting will come and begin to guide you. And you're calling upon all of these energies as a supreme principle. Almost everything in your life begins to orchestrate itself. It will fall in place. You'll be like, how did this happen? I'm struggling for money and suddenly it's just falling in place. I was struggling in relationship, now suddenly everything seems to work out. I'm struggling with health and suddenly things are working out. All of that beautiful orchestration happened only because you have now finally tuning yourself to this divine intelligence, right? If the divine intelligence has orchestrated this universe, can't it orchestrate your life a little bit? It has not misorchestrated it. It is like you and I have stepped out of the rhythm. Just step in line of the rhythm and you'll be like, oh my God, this Garba dance in Dasara that they do is like, wow, this is so awesome, dancing and twirling to the beat. But if you step out of rhythm, somebody's going to hit you with that stick. And you'll be like, ouch, ouch, he's hitting me, she's hitting me. Step in line with the rhythm of the universe. Let your pulse beat, let your the rhythm of your breath is in line with the rhythm of the pulse, is in line with the rhythm of the ebb and flow of the waves, the rhythm of the rising and setting of the suns. The whole universe becomes an extension of the rhythms within you. That's the Damaru of Shiva. And so when you listen to his rhythm, you're listening to your pulse, your breath, your universe. All of that starts manifesting when you begin to chant with meaning. So please take effort, challenge your teachers to teach you. Then they will go to their books and study and say, oh my God, this is how much I know, but this is the technical meaning. Let's explore it together. Take that bookish meaning and start chanting and watch how the true meaning begins to reveal itself to you. This is what I always have believed. The true guru within you will awaken and begin to teach you. It's magical and it's most powerful. Once you open that door and connect to the divine, you will stop looking elsewhere. You will enjoy that process. And please share your thoughts. Veda teachers here. By the way, you all chanted Veda. It was amazing yesterday and today.
Sairam, brother, I just wanted to share an experience when we were teaching Vedas to the children. And we don't need to know the whole Vedas meaning. Even if you know one or two little words here and there, that is enough, right? So we were having I was teaching P3, P4, 10, 11 years. And it was upstairs where we had snacks. So it was very hot. There was no fan. And the children were complaining that it's very hot. And I was teaching them Shanno Mitra. Shanno Mitra, Namo Brahmane, Namaste Vayo. And they all said Vayu. So I said, no, Vayo. And I said, we say Vayo because we are addressing someone who is right in front of you. Vayu is not somewhere else. Vayo is like you're addressing the person right in front. So you have to imagine that wind god is right in front of you. And then chant. And the innocence of the children, the moment they chanted, there was a cool breeze blowing in the terrace. And it's not just 1 day or 2 days. For that batch, every time they chanted this, they would feel the breeze and they would be like, their eyes would be gleaming, Auntie Nirmala, the wind, Auntie Nirmala. So and one day we had it inside and the aircon was there. In spite of the aircon, they felt the cool breeze at that precise moment when they said, Namaste Vayo.
Beautiful.
And not just that batch, multiple batches, whenever I've taught, I've shared this. And I think something about the innocence of the children, they always will feel it. And I just invite you all to think about this and share your own experience later on.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. It's so heartening to hear like this. This is exactly the power of that mantra. When you understand what it is, you truly invoke the energy. It's not, and that's why I'm setting up a Yagashala, Yaga Alayam on the terrace where we are now just moved to Kanchipuram, so we're setting up that. Because through fire, just like fire transforms food into energy, this fire can transform your mantras and take it to a different dimension, transfer it as energy. And when you tune into all the devatas, the beings as energies. I'm not talking about God sitting there with human feelings who's going to get angry with you. None of that. Please, we get confused there. When I talk of beings, these are energies. Vayu is an energy as Vayu. Vayu is not going to get angry with you or upset with you. That's a human emotion. We don't ascribe human emotions there. But through these mantras, what happens? You begin to acknowledge them. You acknowledge their presence. So all these energies in your life will align themselves for you in your life. And therefore, everything that you ever desire will manifest. That is why they say, do yaga and you will have putra kameshti yaga, you will get a child, you will get all of this, because that is true. But if you do that, because you want a child, you do, and it's not like that. Let me align these forces, let me tune into these forces through these mantras. And those forces, when they are tuned, automatically blessings come. Automatically, because the sunlight, the job of the sun is to give light. You don't have to ask it to give light. So that is the beauty. And that's why Swami introduced that subtly, because he had so many things to do. He can't be sitting and explaining this, I guess, because there's really no time. But he has set all this in motion, right? It is for us To take those subtle signatures from Swami, he started Vedic yagas. How do we take it? How do you use it now? Study it. There must be something about it. And the whole world opens. You don't have to please your ex-boss, or you have the highest boss you can reach who will orchestrate everything else for you. Imagine, the treasure is with you. That is what Meera sang, Payo ji maine Ram Ratan dan payo. I have got the treasure house of Ram. I don't need anything else. She started singing, right? You will sing that same song. You have that access to the divine. Mantra chanting and bhajans, all of these are means to get there. So if you love a bhajan's tune, for example, oh, I love the tune, I love the rhythm, it was so beautiful. Next step, learn the meaning. What is wrong? It takes a few minutes to know the meaning. And then try to think of the word and the meaning together, meditate. Next time you listen to it, watch the magic happen. That is how we have to do hard work, we have to do homework. And when we do that, the dividends that come is very, very enriching and priceless. Hope I answered your question.
You want to ask? Okay. This is another question that was given to us. How do I shut my constant chattering mind and be in tune with Swami so that I may hope to receive the correct choice?
Beautiful. And the answer is very simple, you cannot. I didn't say this, this is exactly what Swami said. This is exactly what Swami said. When we said, Swami, how to control the monkey mind? Swami said, Ade, dan kosame monkey ani per pettaru, he said. That's why it's called monkey mind. Monkey never stands still, the mind will never stand still. Because the mind is responding to senses. Then he asked, what happens to the mind when you are fast asleep? The mind doesn't exist. There's no need to control the mind. And then Swami began to explain to us that the nature of the monkey is to be moving. So the best way for the mind is ignore the mind. Don't try to control the mind, then you are giving it more energy. Then it's going to create more problems. And Swami would also give us an example of a puppy that is running away from you. You begin to chase the puppy. No, come here. I don't know how many of you had pets. I have had pets, dogs. So you run behind saying, no, don't run. The puppy thinks it's great fun I'm having. So it'll run even faster. So Swami would say, what do? You stop, turn around and start walking away. And the puppy realizes, oh my God. And it comes behind. The puppy follows at you. Like a little puppy, it'll follow. So remember, don't try to control the mind. Ignore the mind's chatter. Ignore it. Because by trying to control it, by saying, oh my God, my mind is constantly moving this, that, you're only creating that energy and beginning to believe in an illusion that someday you can control the mind. Let go. Then what should be control? Swami said, focus. The word control is the nigraha is a beautiful word in Sanskrit. It does not necessarily mean control, but for the lack of any other right word in English to respect. That's a very beautiful. Control is very harsh. Control feels like you're suppressing. That's not the aim here. Nigraha is very beautiful. It is you're reducing the attraction of that. Graha is attraction. Nigraha is you're reducing the attraction of that. You're reducing its power. Not controlling it, you're giving it less power. So what happens when the battery loses power? That whatever it is working on loses its power automatically. So if the phone is the mind and if the battery inside are the senses, the battery loses the energy, the phone goes dead. You're not worrying, how do I control the phone? How can I stop myself on social media? Stop charging the phone, right? So Swami said, therefore, that's why I use the word nigraha. I'm going to use the word control just so I put the disclaimer out there. Don't take it literally. Control the senses. When you have the senses in check, channelizing the senses, then what happens? The mind automatically. Mind is simply a bundle of thoughts. Swami would take his handkerchief. You have heard this before, right? It's worth revisiting that. The handkerchief, he'll remove one thread. If I go on removing this thread, what will remain? Where will the kerchief be? The kerchief won't. It's only a collection of thoughts. And what are these thoughts? Thoughts are coming from what I hear. Thoughts are coming from what I see. Thoughts are coming from what I smell. Right? These senses are constantly providing information. The mind is constantly processing all of that information. And somewhere in that process, the ego comes and says, I like this, I don't like that. All of that happens. All of that drama comes, right? And so we get stuck in a false idea of what likes and dislikes and all of that. It is just simply senses have come. So if I can channelize the senses towards more creative pursuits, consciously, mindfully, rather than waiting for, it's a very different thing when now you have Netflix and you have Prime videos, right? What do you do there? You mindfully choose what you want to watch. And I think that's a very good thing. I'm not encouraging you to watch or not watch. That's besides the point here is you can choose, right? I want to watch this. I don't know. I'm not into that. I don't want to watch that. Just 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you had a television and all you did was whatever that channel gave you, you had to watch. You can only switch between 2, 3 channels. You had no choice to mindfully say, today I'm in a mood to watch this. Where is it? No, I have to wait. Until then, let me watch this. By the time some junk you're watching, your mind changes. You're not in the mood to watch. So mindfully choosing is channeling the senses. You can mindfully choose what you want to do. That is where the rituals come in. Though we say rituals have no sense, but that's very powerful. Rituals, when I light agarbatti, I'm allowing my sense of smell to rise and connect to the God in front of me. So I'm channeling the sense of smell towards God. When I blow the conch, I'm channeling the sense of sound towards God. When I'm offering flowers, it travels space as it falls. I'm becoming aware of the space, the distance, the flower, the movement of the flower. So all of that, hearing, smelling, tasting, seeing, when I offer prasad, that becomes, the sense of taste is now channeled towards God. What does God want? That's why I said Swami doesn't like sweet. They offer him ragi and then accept that as a prasad. That will be far sweeter than any other sweet you will do because Swami doesn't touch sweets. The point here is, if I can channelize my senses towards God, then the mind automatically, because mind is just a product of the senses, it will also start going towards where I want it to go. And so invariably, you would have achieved controlling the mind or ending the chatter of the mind. But if you just want to end the chatter of the mind, which is against its very nature, you will be doing it for the rest of your life and you will not go anywhere. We'll talk a little more about this tomorrow when we talk about a breathing practice of how to keep the mind engaged then. How do we do that as part of some techniques? We can share about this tomorrow. I hope that answered the question of whoever asked it. So, but thank you for these nice, beautiful questions.
One more question. This is it important that we follow a vegetarian diet according to Swami? Is it important to follow a vegetarian diet? And what does Swami say about that?
There is no question about that. I don't think there is any doubt that Swami advocated vegetarian diet. Simply because he came from a family eating meat and he gave up eating meat at that young age. And so there's no question. It's just like he didn't eat sweets, so that's quite an indication as to the sugar pandemic that we have today. He showed us the direction there. He's already showed us the direction here. And Swami has been not very vocal. When we were there, that was not even an issue that came up. So it was not a thing that what did Swami say about it? We never had an occasion to even bring that up. It was not like there was meat being served outside the hostel or something. Swami would say, don't eat or eat. But it was very evident that Swami was an advocate for vegetarianism. However, we did have a session in Kodaikanal, I did remember. Swami said, it is about causing pain. When a creature dies with pain, that poison enters your body, number one. Number two, when you eat dead creatures, then there is no prana left in them. Your body can become strong, but there will be no life force. So these are the two things he said. That's why eating meat doesn't necessarily mean being healthy. You may look healthy. Look is very different. Somebody can get a six-pack abs and hardcore muscles, and they might say, look at me, what protein I did. All of that is fun, but it doesn't mean they're healthy. Even biologically, the cow ate grass, and so the intestines, our intestines are not designed to hold meat that long. Even our intestines is very long. So when the meat goes into the body, it is putrefying at 100 degrees, 98 degrees, 99 degrees heat. It's sitting there. And what happens when meat becomes rotten? It is getting rotten inside. And so that kind of toxicity is being absorbed by the chemicals into the body. You might ask, but what about plants? Don't we cause pain to plants? What about cutting plants? And that question Swami answered in that very session. He said, The difference between animals and plants are plants do not have senses. There is no pain that you're causing. And therefore, there is no death to the plant. That prana from the plant, when you eat it, it enters you. And so it's very important to understand and be clear about it. Plant has got life, but it doesn't have senses. It does not have senses. Animals have senses. They give birth to children. They are attached to their children. Cows and calves, we know what happens, right? When a cow gives birth to a calf, you don't get good milk because it preserves its milk for its calf. The beauty there is, so to separate them or to kill them and eat, all of that, it doesn't really follow the right harmony of nature. Like, you want to be in tune with nature, then give what nature has made you for. We are not carnivorous animals, and therefore my very strong opinion is being vegetarian, because I learned that from Swami. And anyway, I was raised, for me that's never been an issue, because I was raised right from my childhood, ayyo, mean type. So my brain is already wired in the other direction. But coming to Swami, I've known to respect that vegetarianism is definitely healthy. Now, those of you who are patting yourself in the back and saying, thank God I'm a vegetarian, I want to tell you the greatest danger is sugar. Please, don't pat yourself so much and stop celebrating with sugar. That is worse than meat or anything for health. And a lot of sugar contains bones from animals, from pigs and cows. The very cow that you worship next to Krishna, that very cow's poor bones, you are eating and offering it to Krishna. It's such a tragedy and a sad event, especially white sugar and all the sugar that's very commercially available. You have to do homework and make sure they're vegetarian sugar. There's no cow bones and animal bones in the sugar that you eat. And first of all, that's one step. Second step is, why eat sugar at all? Just give it up. It is the biggest drug today in the world is sugar. So these are the kind of things you have to understand. It's found its way, animal products have found their way thanks to the industry and industrial influence. It has found its way into a lot of vegetarian products. Toothpaste, you have to be very, very careful if you are vegetarian. If you want to, just so that the idea is to be mindful. You're not committing any sin in that sense, or no, God is going to get angry with you, but you ask yourself, can I take charge of what is going in my body? Can I be responsible? Just like I'm responsible for who enters my house, why am I being irresponsible when it comes to toothpaste? Why am I being irresponsible when it comes to sugar or what I eat in the hotel outside? If I'm not sure of that, I don't want that in my system. So when you become mindful, then you truly begin to be a true vegetarian. So even in vegetarians, there are many steps towards being purely eating pranic food. Again, we'll touch upon it a little tomorrow when we talk of the Agni and the earth element, the fire element within us.
Thank you. I think we have time for another 2 or 3 more questions. This one is, seeing Swami in good and nice people is quite easy. But how to see Swami in someone who's displaying negative character or behavior?
Yeah, our problem is not in seeing Swami or not seeing Swami. Our problem is judging people as good or bad. Stop judging people as good or bad. If you see a good person, emulate that good person. If you see a bad person, examine your heart. Every person has a role to play in his or her life. Everyone is playing a role. Whether it's a guy with a very violent attitude to life, he's playing his role. Stay away from that. Just like you would stay away from a snake. Say, that is God in some form I can't understand. Stay away. Not because it's bad. That is God, but there's a form I cannot relate with. That's all you have to do. You don't have to refuse. You don't have a choice whom to see God in and whom not to. Everything is God. It's not God is in something. He's not one prisoner sitting inside you and me. He is God, everything. There's nothing outside God. Correct? So there's no such thing as good and bad. Our problem in spirituality, honestly, my dear sisters and brothers, is we get caught endlessly in this idea of good and bad. This is good, that is bad, that is good, this is bad, this is spiritual, this is material. You, Swami, like this, Swami won't like that. We're just caught in this constant comparison. Just stop that judgment at all, completely. So, does that mean I can listen to all music? Maybe, maybe not. Automatically you will tune into certain colors, any of us. We'll have our own favorite colors. Some colors we don't tune into. We don't have to say they are bad colors. We're saying I can't tune into that color. If there's a particular music, there is no such thing as bad music. Rhythm is rhythm. Melody is melody. Certain combinations of rhythm and melody you may not like, you may like. If you don't like, you say, I can't tune into it. That is perhaps for somebody else, not for me. And therefore, I respectfully stay away from it. It disturbs me, for example. Correct? It's the same thing with food. Somebody is eating food doesn't mean that person is bad or he's eating bad food. No, it's food for you, that's good for you, but not for me. I can't tune into that kind of food. So you're not judging anyone. You're still seeing God in everybody. Right? And the best teachers and the best way God comes to you is when somebody criticizes you. Be grateful to that. If everybody were to praise you, then you won't even know where you're going. Somebody needs to criticize you. And then if that hurts you, that means there is something really wrong with you. Correct? If a loser in the beauty pageant goes to the Miss Universe or Miss whatever and tells her, you're ugly, what do you think she'll say? How dare you? She'll say, okay, thank you. She's got the crown on her head, right? She knows she's the one who's already been there on the stage. So she won't be affected by somebody criticizing her. But what if she had lost? And somebody said, you know why you lost? Because you're ugly. And immediately she'll react. Because in her heart, she must be having that thing. Maybe I'm just using the word ugly and beauty in this context. Just ignore it. But the point here is, if you're guilty of something and you're angry, somebody criticizing you about it, then you're truly perhaps guilty. If somebody, you play something or you sing something and somebody gives you a critical comment, you might say, what does she know about singing? Rather, you should sing, oh, how come my singing didn't appeal? And maybe there's something, what is it that you didn't like about my singing? Let me know. That is the best way to understand and grow and be, to grow rich. To people I don't tune into, like certain politicians, I just can't tune in. I can't even understand where they get these ideas from or what their approach is. Whether in the US or India, whoever it is, then I say, wow, that's something I learned from them what not to be. So you're also my guru teaching what not to be. So there are people teaching you. So God comes in many forms, teaches you what to be, what not to be. There is nothing outside God. You and I don't have a choice to see God in one and God not another. But you can always, if you don't understand a particular energy, respectfully stay away from that energy. That is how I would treat it. And stop judging anyone and everything. Just stop. Just accept that he's doing something I don't know. The moment you judge, if you allow me to explain this a little more further, Swami explained this in the form of karma. When you judge somebody as bad for a particular act they did, then that act becomes your act. Think of that. Because that energy comes and becomes who you are. So he gives an analogy of a servant was a lady was selling flowers outside a king's palace, and the king had invited pandits from all over the kingdom to perform a yaga in his palace. While performing the yaga, there was an unfortunate fire incident, and some of the priests died. Some of them escaped. Now the rumor had it that the Raja called all the priests because he wanted to kill some of them. Years later, some priests came and they wanted to meet the Raja. The flower lady was selling flowers outside the palace, and she told them, be careful, if you go inside, the Raja might kill you. So the question comes, who killed the priests? The lady killed the priests. Because she carries in her head that the priests were killed by the Raja. When it didn't happen, right? It didn't happen really. But the lady has made up her mind that they were murdered there. That murder, the idea of murdering that was in her head, and therefore she committed the murder of the priests. So she carries with her the karma of committing murder to the priest. That is how the subconscious mind registers. When we did a play, in the 60th birthday play, I said there were many lessons learned. The first play, in English play, I wrote that play. It's called Here and There. And we had a rowdy scene. And in the rowdy scene, the first and the last time we ever did that rowdy scene in front of Swami. So in the rowdy scene, we have a bar scene. We have two guys smoking and drinking, and Swami's student comes and we asking, what is the use of all these values? What are you doing? You're wasting your life. And then he convert him, and he goes back to smoking and drinking. That was that scene there. And there are other scenes where he comes back and all his students get transformed and become good. So there is a happy ending, but there is a scene 3, as I always remember. Scene 3 was a rowdy scene. Believe it or not, Swami came to watch this drama. He loved the story. I had to read it to Professor Gokak, the Vice Chancellor. I read the story to him. He said, very touching, very powerful story about a boy who studies in Swami's college, goes home, gets confused. Then Swami teaches him values and he comes back to Swami's fold. That's a story. The point here is about that scene, particular scene, and it connects to what I was talking about, the karma thing. So Swami said, so Swami would come for that drama. He saw the first two scenes, and then he had handpicked a boy to be this boy, Swami's student, right? Who was a bhajan singer. We call him the form boy. He was Swami's pet. And so Swami said, he's going to be the Swami student. And I was one of the rowdies again. So anyway, what happened was, Swami came to the third scene. We had read the dialogues to Swami in the interview room. Swami said, okay, and all, he came. Then Swami sits in the chair, and this Colonel Jogara, he gets a couple of VIPs, and we start the scene. The scene was almost ending. Swami got up from the chair, came to this boy, because the boy is now surrounded by the villainous friends who are saying, you're waste and all. The boy says, yeah, I don't have any answer. Swami came to this boy and said, tell them, why are you keeping quiet? Tell them what you have learned with Swami's Institute. Tell them. He said, Swami, drama, Swami. Yemi drama. Chip. He was into that story. Swami came and said, what drama? Tell them what you learned. Why are you keeping quiet? And he got so upset, he walked away. And then the VIPs rushed after him, and we were like totally stunned. That was the first thing, like, didn't Swami understand this was a drama? This is only a scene. Why did he get so angry? We had no clue what to do. We thought we are all finished. Then we sent word through the registrar, we are very sorry, we don't know what happened. He said, even I don't know what has happened, we'll go and check, we'll find out from Swami. So night, Swami said, no, it's okay, let them practice, we'll see. So next day he comes and he says, rowdy scene. So he's like that 5-year-old who wants that fun, the horror movie, but he's also scared. He's like that, rowdy scene. He brings 2 more VIPs. See these boys, how they'll act now. So first scene, second scene, rowdy scene starts. Again Swami gets upset. Again he's like that same old thing. No, this is too violent. Why are you doing this? And so we wanted to cancel the scene. Swami didn't allow us to cancel the scene. He said, no, let it be there. But every time he comes for the rehearsal, he'll be visibly upset. So to the point that let's say he saw 5, 6, 7, 8 rehearsals. Now he's watching the same scene. You would think Swami would have settled down. No. So he's holding the kerchief. He'll be like that, like a small child watching cartoon. The faces, all the expressions of the Tom and Jerry will come on their face. Swami was like that. He was like this, literally squeezing the handkerchief and not liking the villain boys, It was a scary moment for us, but a very profound learning, even though we did the whole play. The beauty of it was the play is Swami sitting on the birthday, and the president is sitting next to Swami. Swami is constantly telling, this is only acting. He's a good boy. They're all good boys. They're only acting, okay? Because Swami is so concerned that, oh my God, these boys are acting villains. They're not real. So he's telling the president, I don't think he allowed him to even watch the drama. Because he was so concerned. No, good boys, all good boys, he kept saying. But what happened was he stopped talking to a few of us. Then because we went into PhD after that, he stopped talking to us for quite a few months. And then many months later, when we went to this Chennai thing, that's when Swami broke that ice. How he broke that ice and he brought that drama back again was he introduced us, 3 of us PhD boys, to the VIPs who were there, who was in Swami's room. They said, these are all my PhD boys. These 2, big rowdies. So that was me and another colleague of mine. We were in that drama, in the rowdy scene. So big rowdies, smoking, drinking, all bad. We said, no, Swami. Hey, didn't you do on that stage? No, Swami, that was just acting. No, in front of Swami acting, behind Swami. Oh my gosh, we realized Swami was taking this seriously. And we were in this beautiful journey with Swami. We didn't want, again, Swami to get upset and suddenly bring some old thing back. We said, no, Swami, we fell at his feet. No, Swami, we were only doing. Swami said, there cannot be smoke without fire. And then Swami said, okay, I will forgive you, but even in drama, I don't want my boys to do these things. It's not good. Because even if you act, even if you think, it is as good as doing. There is no difference. You think it is drama, it is real. You did it. So The power of karma is, even if you think somebody is bad, that thinking of that person, whatever you attribute, he's a miser, he's really like that, always like that. No, you are the one who's the miser. That karma of being a miser is you. So before you judge, think 10 times, because and San Swami also tells us, you send a mail to somebody, if that person doesn't receive it, what happens to that letter? It comes back to you. Especially criticizing somebody at somebody's back, gossiping behind somebody's back, is you're not telling that person. If somebody doesn't sing well, talk to the brother directly or the sister directly and say, for some reason I think you missed a scale, but you won't do that. What you'll do is you'll tell everybody else, and everybody else will be talking themselves. This poor child will not know that he or she has not sung well, or they need practice for that bhajan. You know what I'm saying? A simple example like that. So have the guts to tell that person directly, something is bothering me, I want to share with you, or tell yourself, forget it. That's not how I should look at it. So please don't stop, first of all, judging good and bad. It will be easy to accept that every part, right from the Kali principle to the Krishna principle, the beautiful and romantic Krishna and the powerful image of Kali, they are all part of this divine Leela that we call God.
Thank you. I think we will ask no more questions. Just want to ask you if you could share more of your memories, favorite memories with Swami, your experiences.
My gosh, there's so many of them. I'd like to end today's with this incident that again made me understand a whole different level of Swami. And some of you would have heard of this if you have watched my YouTube videos or presentations before. And I'm sorry, I always share only my stories because I know this happened to me. I can share it from my heart. And therefore, allow me if I sound a repetition. It's, we call it the snake bite story, where on the one side, I told you that there is a humanness of Swami, and there was another part where he was just spontaneously divine. The divinity was not a put on act. It was not a cloak that he had to wear. It was who he was. And that came to me in this beautiful experience. So it so happened that in the course of staying, I began to catch snakes. I love all animals, and snake is no exception. In fact, I love snakes a little more. Sorry if I gross you out, but I for some reason I have an affinity towards snakes right from my childhood. And so when I went to Puttaparthi one day after my yoga practice, I was coming back, and there was a snake on the road, and these some village boys were there, and they took some sticks and started hitting it and hurting it. I said, why are you doing it? No, dangerous. Telugu, kotra, bag, kottu, and all. They literally hurt the snake everywhere except the hood, and so that cobra just slid into the bushes. Later on, when I came back during the day back to college, I saw the dead snake in the bushes, hurt and all of it, whatever. So it really, something touched me very deeply, and I said, next time I will not, if I see a snake somewhere in the neighborhood, I'll just take it and leave it in the hills, far away from humans, so that they can find their home. Because I always thought we built it on their territory. They have as much as right to live as much as we do. Anyway, so that that kind of thought was there, and so Puttaparthi had a lot of snakes and these kind of things because it's village, right? And we had a hostel. So hostel means hostel food. You put it out to throw the next day. So that food attracts rats and stuff like that, and rats attract snakes. And so snakes was not such a foreign thing for us, especially cobras in Puttaparthi was quite evident. You all can still go, please don't worry. I'm not here to scare you. So whenever there was a snake seen in the college compound or in the hostel compound, a little bit small ones, I used to catch them and then leave them in the hill up there. And over a period of time, I learned how to catch. I developed my own technique of pressing the neck and holding the mouth and taking it, and its tail wraps around me, and then I'll go quietly and leave it. So years went by, and it became this thing in the hostel and everywhere that if you see a snake called Sunder sir, he will come and catch it. So it became kind of a thing, and this selfless act of saving the snake slowly became a showman thing. Now I was catching like the alligator guy, right? Now you catch a snake, and then there are 10 boys, sir, show the snake, and I'll show them, and not realizing how dangerous it is. Actually, I have a snake. I used to even let go of the cobra like Shiva sit in Padmasana and think it'll come and stand like this. Poor thing was going off. No, I was not lucky, so I didn't get that. But then I became friendly. I'd keep them in my pockets, and the fear of snakes had gone. But I was foolishly engaging in things which was dangerous. So let me accept that. Okay? And I became more and more popular in the nearby village and Puttaparthi village. So wherever they wanted, there's a snake, they used to call me inside the ashram, and Swami was not there, and all of that just went on. One day, one afternoon, fateful afternoon, I was sleeping, and I was in the midst of a vivid dream, and I'll come to that dream later. I was woken up, and they said, there is a snake in the college campus. Please come. They're waiting for you. Now, in the course of this experience, I noticed that when somebody says there's a snake somewhere, by the time I go, there is no snake there. That snake would have escaped most of the times, because there's no snake waiting for me that, hey, Sunder Iyer is going to come and catch me. And it never happened. You spot a snake, by the time somebody comes, the snake is gone. But there are times when the snake gets cornered. And there are people, it doesn't know what to do, so it just stays hidden, or it just raises a hood and stays, because it's protecting itself. So I asked this boy, you're sure there's a snake, because it's time for darshan, I have to go. He said, no, sir, you're on your way, you can catch it, and then whatever you want to do, you can do it. It's there in the auditorium. There are guys with big sticks and clubs. If you don't come, they'll kill it. It's a big one, and it's there in the auditorium entrance in the mosaic floor. So I said, okay. So I went, wore my the Hawaiian sandals, if you will. We call that bathroom slippers, where we used to draw skulls and say, don't touch me. And we had all our own tattoos on the chappals. We couldn't put tattoos on our foot, because there are 400, 500 chappals in the hostel. Everybody borrows somebody else. So each one had their own tattoos, if you will. So those kind of chappals where all your toes are exposed. For some reason, I wore that. I was not thinking clearly, because I was thinking, I'll finish this, go for darshan. That was the time, 3:30. So I wore my chappals and went there. I saw the snake. He was in the corner, and he had his hood raised. And he was cornered, so he had his hood raised, because he didn't know what was happening. He couldn't escape from anywhere. So I asked for a stick. Somebody gave me a stick. I went to the snake. I pressed gently. You press the head down, it stays. Because the poor snake doesn't know what to do. So I pressed it, caught hold of the snake. This was perhaps one of the biggest snakes I caught. He was almost 5.5 feet, about half a feet more than me. And so he was so thick that normally I would hold the mouth like this with my thumb and my forefinger. But this, I had to hold the whole face. The mouth was like this, so I had to hold it like this in my whole palm, because he was quite big. And so the moment I did that, he or she curled himself around my arm. And there was somebody waiting with a camera. I said, okay, let's take pictures. So we stretched it out. I was literally showing off to that, enjoying that moment of glory, if you will, not realizing that I've got any moment death can happen to me or anyone nearby. It was a very foolish thing I did. And then I said, okay, y'all go. I have to go up to the hill. The Hanuman statue where it is, that's where this incident happened. At that time, Hanuman statue was not there. Krishna statue was there. So I went up, and 2 of my colleagues came with me. And so I went up all the way to the top of the hill. And I was about to throw when my class students came running. They said, Sunder sir, every time you catch, we miss the whole thing. Can you show us how to catch a snake? Don't let him go. Just show us how you catch it. Now, in this showmanship, common sense, if it had prevailed, I should have said, see, this is not the place to play and all that. You carry on. Next time, maybe we'll see. But at that day, I decided to really show off. So I said, okay, let me show them how to catch a snake. Not realizing one fundamental difference. Until then, all the snakes I caught was in the hostel, corridor, ashram complex, in the concrete roads and all of that. That was our territory, more familiar to us. They were hard. So when I pressed the snake of the head, the head of the snake stayed, because the ground underneath was hard. So I could keep it pressed. Now I am in his territory, in the hills, sand. So if I press, it's not going to stay pressed. He could dig into the sand, which is what he did later, few moments later. I didn't realize I was in his territory. I said, let me show. I was looking for a big stick to press the head if I let go. I didn't find one. I said, I'm going to just put my foot on the head and press it. Why look for a... I know, I was foolish. So I held the tail and let go of the head. And I know by then the snake cannot climb on its own. So I was safe holding it like this. It was a big snake, so the hood was much bigger than my palm. So he was trying with the hood spread, she or he was trying to go away from me, poor thing, trying to go to the ground. So the hood was on the sand. So I put my foot, because it was widespread, I said it was safe to put my foot. I put my foot on the snake's head. I put it, and I might have looked up to say, you keep it, or something for the boys to see. At that moment, what happened was, it was sandy, so my foot is on top, the snake digged from underneath. And because I put my full weight here, now it's happening so fast, it came up, and it saw my foot, and one solid bite, and it let go. And this was almost 10 years after I know Swami. And what do you think I chanted? Namah Shivaya, Sai Ram. I said, ouch. I said, ouch. I shouted like that. And the boy started, what happened, sir? What happened? So my immediate thing was, no, nothing, it's okay. And I let go of the snake because I was still holding his tail. So I immediately threw it in the bushes and the snake, poor thing, went away. And I thought, oh gosh, I knew I was bit by a snake because that was a very sharp bite. And I saw it holding my foot like this and releasing. So I let it go and I said, okay, let's go. My two colleagues next to me saw that. They said, Sunder, you've been bit. Let's carry you. I said, no, I was more of like, you're carrying me. What is that? I just took pictures with the snake. No, I'll just walk it down. I thought, foolishly again, remember there were no Discovery channels and no online internet for me to know what to do with a snake bite. All I thought was I'll just go and take a blade and cut the foot open and maybe the blue blood will come out. You know, Aad Pambe, Vilayad Pambe movie, suddenly the blue blood comes out or poison comes out. I didn't realize it's all just momentary denial. So I thought I'll just go to the hospital, just cut the poison, will come out and I'll put nothing is going to happen. Immediately there was a denial. In that shock, I was just denying. And I started walking, thinking I'll go to the hospital because I knew it's time for darshan. But by the time I reached where the Hanuman statue to Krishna statue is about 50 meters, by the time I walked to the Krishna statue, my foot exploded in pain. In that first few moments, the adrenaline was so much that I didn't understand the pain. And then it exploded like a bomb, literally. And I was like, oh God, it's hurting, it's paining. It started burning, my foot started burning. So again, my friend said, let me carry you. You're not supposed to walk, heartbeat, the blood will go in, don't do it. I said, no, let's go straight to the hospital. It's okay, I'll walk. And I walked down the hill, all the way to the little hospital up the hill near the ad block. Dr. Alreja was there. So while walking to the hospital, my colleagues and I had this conversation and I told them, please, for my sake, let me do the talking. You all don't talk. I will take the sin of lying to him because I know he will meet Swami every night. And I don't want Swami to know Sunder Iyer was playing by a snake. So pardon me for saying this. This is the human part of our relationship. I don't know how else to explain that. It was definitely foolish. Swami knew it. But at that time, I said, if he tells Swami, Sunder Iyer came and he said he was playing with a snake, Swami will say, tell him to pack his luggage and get out. So I said, let me do the talking to Alreja. And so I went, Dr. Alreja was sitting and he said, what happened? I said, bit by a snake. He said, snake or what is it? No, it was a snake. What was a snake? Wait, college? Yes, it bit me in the college. What were you doing there? I was just doing some social work. In my head, my definition of social work was rescuing the snakes, right? How we justify, we can tell a lie and justify, do anything, right? So I justified at that moment just to save my skin. I didn't want too much details. I didn't want it to be passed on. So I just told him, please help me. So he said, okay, lie down, let me test your pulse and all that. By then I was feeling a little foggy, even though about 10 minutes had passed. So he made me lie down, check the pulse. He said, immediately take him upstairs. So he must have felt my pulse dropping. I don't know what. He said, take him upstairs. So I was upstairs lying down and he asked for the antidote. Now what happened here was, as I was lying for the antidote, I looked at the time and it was time for darshan. So by the time there was a commotion, antidote, the doctor is going back and forth, something is happening. So I asked my colleague, just find out what's going on. So he went and came back and said, no, nothing, Sundar, nothing is wrong. I said, if nothing is wrong, why the antidote has not come? He said, no, don't worry, it will come. I knew something was wrong. I asked him what's going on. He said, no. See that cupboard, there was a small hospital, there was one steel almirah. So the steel almirah had all these exotic medicines, right? And the antidote was in the steel almirah. And the person in charge of that had locked the cupboard and gone for darshan because it was time for darshan. So now he said, no, they've just sent word from that guy, they'll get the key and don't worry. I said, Shiva, listen, that was his name. So I told him, listen, if he's gone for darshan, then and if Swami's come out for darshan, there is no way you can touch him. And so it's going to be at least half an hour, 40 minutes. So he's not going to come before that. He said, don't worry, Swami will take care. Then I knew that this is serious. There's no antidote coming. And the foot was literally on fire. So then that's when it struck me, I'm going to die. Because I know by then cobra bite was there. This pain is something I've never experienced before, and I'm going to die. So I said, okay, this is, now what happened was the story of Walter Coven and all of that came to me. So now I have to exit through the proper chakra. Now I'm excited about death. Honestly, I'm a little crazy, so bear with me. So I lay down and I said, close my eyes, and I said, okay, now I have to make sure that the Atma, I leave properly and see Swami. That was my way to die. So I decided to relax my body, but I couldn't. The pain was very real. As far as I remember, I didn't lose consciousness at all, as far as I remember. And then within 5 minutes, somebody shook me up. So my adventure came to a halt, if you will. Somebody shook, I opened my eyes, my brother Shiva was there. And I said, what happened? Did the antidote come? He said, yeah, it has come. I said, what, in 5 minutes, how did you get the antidote? He said, what do you mean 5 minutes? Look at the clock. I turned and looked at the clock. 55 minutes had passed. Somehow I had survived 55 minutes, number one. Number two was what I couldn't believe 55 minutes had passed because I thought it was only 5 minutes. Never was a point in time I thought I had lost consciousness. Because, I mean, if I had lost consciousness, I wouldn't know that, right? Obviously. But what I thought was 5 minutes was actually 55 minutes. Then the doctor came, gave the antidote injection, all that was done. And then he said, you have to spend overnight. Where does Swami fit in all this? Wait, the story is still there. So stay overnight and go. So I was okay, I was happy. And then my parents came, my mother was crying, why do you do all these foolish things? Promise me this, that, all that drama happened. Then when they were talking to me, my father and mother were talking to me, Dr. Alreja came in the evening after visiting Swami and came, or just before going to Swami, he came and he said, you have really put me in big trouble today. Kya Iyer, itna bahut musibat mein dal diya tum. He was from Bombay too, so he knew I was from Bombay. Put me into great difficulty. I said, what happened, doctor? What happened? So he says, you should have told me it was just a thorn, it was not a snake. What are you making all this drama about snake? I said, who told you it was a thorn? I still couldn't tell him. There were pictures taken, wait till the photographs get developed. I couldn't tell him all that. So I said, who told you it was a thorn? Yes, I'm getting scolded by Chiranjeev Rao and everybody that that you simply made a drama. And then he tells me this story, which I later on checked with Chiranjeev Rao, who told me the story again. So what happened was, in the evening when they didn't find the antidote for me, the doctor realized that the situation was out of his hands. He couldn't do anything to help save me at that moment, I guess. So his duty was to report to Swami. They always report to Swami as things which they're not able to. They will tell Swami, what do? We are in this situation. That was a small hospital at that time again. And this was, they knew Swami's student and they knew Sunder Iyer and all of that. So he said, I'll let Swami know, then I'll see what to do because I can't help now. I don't have antidote immediately available. So he called the ashram office and told Mr. Chiranjeev Rao, Mr. Kutumrao, Chiranjeev Rao. These were the two people in charge of the amazing, they are rishis, honestly I'm telling you, they're not alive anymore, but they're the most amazing souls. When you talk of surrender, oh my gosh, if Swami says jump into a well, without a drop second, they will do it. That unquestioning faith is something we learn from them. It's so beautiful. Anyway. So he called Mr. Chiranjeev Rao and told him, please tell Swami Sundar has been bit by a snake. This is emergency. He's in the hospital, he's been bit by a snake. Now Chiranjeev Rao comes to darshan. Now darshan line, there's an arch. Swami goes. So under the arch, these VIPs or the ashram people will always be there. They will be waiting for instructions from Swami if he has anything to do. But during darshan, they will not inform Swami or disturb Swami at all because that is time with Swami and devotees. If Swami has some instructions, call them and say, this person to give him accommodation or do something like that, then they will let Swami do that. But on that day, Chiranjeev had to go and disturb Swami. So Swami is out for darshan. Chiranjeev Rao goes to Swami and tells him, Swami, Sunder Iyer ki paambu karsundanta. Means, Swami, Sunder Iyer I'm being told Sunder Iyer is bit by a snake. Swami immediately retorts to him, Adi paambu kada, adi urke mullu. That is not a thorn, that is not a snake, that is just a thorn. But a drama chestnadu urke, he is just doing drama. Urke drama chestnadu. And walked away. And Chiranjeev Rao felt very upset that I disturbed Swami, and Swami got irritated with this thing. And immediately just, don't disturb me, that's just a fake thing, you know. Swami walked away. Chiranjeev Rao is angry, so he comes and shouts at Dr. Alreja, how dare you tell me this? Why can't you do investigation? I'm in trouble with Swami. I disturbed Swami like this. And so Alreja comes to me and said, why did you tell me lies? I'm getting into trouble. So it was a chain reaction coming to me, and I still couldn't convey to Dr. Alreja why would, how it was a snake. I couldn't tell him that. Now, the story ended there. I survived that night. Later in that night, as I was sleeping, that's when it dawned on me how foolish I was and why I shouldn't have done what I did. And then I said, thank God I survived this, and I'm grateful to be alive. But the pain was still there. I ended up being in the hospital for 1 month after that. It became localized. The whole poison was localized. A cobra bite, which is usually systemic in nature, became localized. And my foot was swollen like a football. And the next day they started squeezing the foot and getting this thing out. It was the most painful 1 month I spent there. But in that 1 month, we wrote the Bhaja Govindam drama, and all of that happened while I was in the hospital. In that 1 month, strangely, till I come back to the story, that 1 month, strangely, though I used to sing bhajans every day, and even if a day one of the boys don't come, Swami will ask, where is he? Why didn't I see him anywhere? That 1 month, he never asked about me to anybody. I used to ask, the vice chancellor came, the registrar came to see me, the warden came to see me, how are you doing? And I said, did Swami say anything about me? They said, no, do you want us to tell something? I said, no, don't tell anything to Swami. But I was curious as to how come Swami is not asked also about me. That was number one. Number two was, I went to sleep that night, and I was hurt and upset that Swami was refused to believe it's a snake. Now we talk of conditioned minds and perceptions of God, right? I'm trying to tie it all with this. Where do I learn these things with these experiences? So I was struggling with what? The thing was, I know it was a snake. Boys saw it was a snake. Why is Swami refusing that? It's not a snake, it is a thorn. How could he do that? I'm not doing drama, it happened real. Why would Swami insult me like that? That is how I took it as. Why couldn't he give vibhuti or show some love when I'm suffering with pain? He could have done that. He just dismissed it, right? And he's not even asked about it, asked about me. And so that is what I went to sleep with. And that night I had this dream where I saw, and I not the dream, I recollected the dream I had in the afternoon, where in the dream I had died in that afternoon, and I had gone opening a manhole, and I'm entering a cloudy thing. I see my my grandparents, and I see my old aunts. Everybody who has passed away, I see them. And at a distance, I see Swami coming in a pallaka. 4 people are carrying him in a palanquin. He's sitting, and he opens a curtain. He calls me inside, and I go there. The Swami asked me, you want to stay here or you want to go back? You want to stay here, you want to go back? And then I think of my chances with Swami down there. Because in my dream, I'm up somewhere else. So I said, Swami, I want to go back. Swami said, okay, take namaskar. And my dream was woken when that boy woke me up for that snake thing. So I said, wow, is there a connection between this? And I didn't know. And so many questions were in my mind. Why didn't Swami answer properly? Why did this happen? Like anything in life, the most profound experiences may not have the picture is never complete in our time, the way we want it. It happens in God's time. So that incident passed away, and we came, Bhaja Govindam drama, Swami came, he saw the rehearsals, he saw the bandage on my foot. He asked some boy also, what is that bandage on Iyer's foot? And somebody said, Swami is hurt or got bit by a snake. And Swami said, just dismiss that. And he didn't even ask me what that bandage was at that point when there was actually a bandage on my foot. Time passed. About 2 years later, I had a chance to again write drama for Swami, and we were sitting, and every day we were having sessions with Swami. So one session, we all finished, and all the boys got up, took namaskar, and started going. And I was the last one. I picked up the files and did namaskar, picked up the files. Swami is sitting on the chair, so I'm walking backwards because the room is there. You don't turn your back to Swami, right? So I'm walking backwards. Swami is sitting and looking like this, with his elbows on the chair. He saw my foot. There's a huge scar on my right foot. He looked. Adi emti dini kallo. What is that on your foot? I looked. I said, oh my gosh, that is a snake bite he's looking at. So I said, Swami, this is that snake bite. Then Swami looked at me, hey, adi paambu kaadu. And it's almost like, just between us, come on, tell me the truth. It's not a snake, right? He's doing this drama thing, don't do it with me kind of a thing. Hey, adi paambu kaadu, pamba. It's not a snake, is it? He's asking me. Do I have time to finish the story? Because there's a very important lesson here. So, there is a very important lesson. Pardon me for crossing. I know Swami is so particular about time. But there's an important lesson here. And the reason why I want to drag the story is to learn these lessons. Otherwise, it's just an interesting story. We don't learn the lesson. The lesson is this. Swami used to tell us, why did Krishna choose Arjuna for the Gita? When there were so many saints and sages, enlightened people next to Krishna. Why did he choose Arjuna? Arjuna, wherever he went, he got married and came. He was a warrior. What did he know about spirituality? Why did Krishna choose Arjuna? And while we didn't have the answer, Swami said, it is only because he had completely surrendered to Krishna. And Swami would give this example that Krishna would see a bird and say, look at that beautiful pigeon. And Arjuna would say, yes, Krishna, it is a beautiful pigeon. Krishna would tell him, are you mad? It is a crow, it's not a pigeon. And Arjuna would say, yes, my lord, it is a crow, it's not a pigeon. And Krishna would say, come on, you're playing, it's actually a parrot. And Arjuna would say, yes, of course, it's a parrot. And Krishna, in this analogy, Swami would say, Krishna will ask Arjuna, don't you have eyes of your own? If I just say crow, you're saying yes. If I'm saying parrot, you're saying yes. And Arjuna answers, listen to this answer. He says, Arjuna answers, I trust your eyes more than I trust mine. You see the truth. So that must be the truth. I don't see the truth. And so I heard of these stories. I know these stories in theory, right? Theory versus practice. We know these theories. I knew that. And at a drop of a hat, we would have said, yes, Swami, in theory. But he didn't point to the crow or a parrot. In my case, he asked me, it's not a snake, right? I should have said, yes, Swami, it's not a snake. But what did I do? I corrected him. I said, no, Swami, it is a snake. How many chances like this I missed for instant liberation? I don't know. I corrected him. That's why we hold on to our beliefs, even though in theory we want to surrender, but that fear of whatever it is, we believe what we believe and see is real. We believe we are the poor little innocent devotees isolated, whereas he is God and up there, where he's saying there is no difference. We choose to believe our reality versus his. And this cannot be even greater when he looks into my eyes, just him and I, and he telling me, it's not a snake, is it? And I say, no, Swami, it was a snake. And then the beauty came. He said, Chudu, listen, he said. Na notu nunchi adu paamani eppudukuradu. From my mouth, it will never be uttered that it is a snake. Adi mullu, mullu, mullu. Po. From my mouth, it will never come that it is a snake. It is a thorn, it is a thorn, it is a thorn. Go, he said. I came back and I sat in the bhajan hall, but I was shivering because then it dawned that Swami willed it to be a thorn. He willed it when Chiranjeev Rao told him he's bit by a snake. He said, no, it's a thorn. Just casually. It was not waving in the air and doing the Shiva dance and creating cosmic rhythms and changing the fate of an individual. It was just an instant casual, no, Pambakadi adi mullu drama chesnadu. He made it a drama, he made it a play, he made a snake bite into a thorn by simply willing it. He changed the reality. He enforced his will to change what you and I think real by sheer willing it. Even to this day, so many doctors came from Puttaparthi that time. They came and asked, how is it that you have a cobra bite and how did it become systemic? I said, you had asked the person who built it, not me. I have no answer to it. Nobody has an answer how a cobra bite can become localized in your foot. So I paid the price for being foolish for a 1 month of painful this thing. But then when he said, Na not nunchi adrado, I will never utter it that it's a snake. 2 years later also, he didn't say that, yes, it was a snake, but I'm not I didn't tell it that time, I'm agreeing now. No, he has already changed the reality. So it will never be a snake for him. Because even at that moment, if he had said, yes, I know it is a snake, maybe the effect would be instantaneous for me, right? He willed it. That is who you and I are dealing with. Pure divine energy. So when we invoke him, know that he's with you. You invoke him, you might think it's imagination, but it's far more real than what you think is real. You call upon him, he is there. He will hold your hand and he will guide us. Thank you, Sai Ram.
समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की
जय।